had it a bit from both teams, wins and losses either side. Shopify itself, you know, they've, I think, lost it twice.
Yeah, lost it twice. It was a 7-8 against Secrets and a 7-5. Oh, no, wait.
It was a 7-8 against Secret and a 5-7 against FaZe. It was one of the only maps Secret took as well, really, throughout the entirety of the run. But, hey, welcome. You like the Jazz?
Thank you. I do like the Jazz. But I have to say, I do miss the Duck from last year a little bit.
The Duck was wild. I don't miss the Duck. The Duck is gone.
It is gone.
At some point, the coat that I borrowed for the opening was very last minute.
Whose coat was it?
It was one of our higher ups from Ubisoft. Okay. And I said, can I borrow your coat? I need to do a thing. And they graciously lent it to me, but now I need to make sure that they come and get it back. Because it's so snowy here in Boston.
You love it, though. I was flying over yesterday, and everywhere I looked, it was just white. It was just
That's
snow.
how snow works.
No, but it's like, I haven't seen snow yet last year, you know? Like, I was so happy to see snow. Anyway, we're talking about the bands coming through. Flora's band, Blackbeard band, Cade as well to be removed, leaving only one more of the operator lineup to be removed from at least this map. They might see a little bit of play later on. Talking about Bank, I mean, there's a couple of opportunities to go about here, but the eventual choice that will be made by Rebellion is Azami. I mean, still a very oppressive operator to go around every now and then. It just makes hold so much more difficult to go through. Stalls a lot of time, so understandable.
Oh, I mean, last time I sort of checked the stats, I'm just going to have a very quick look now. She was the sort of top operator band, but also very high preference. Yeah, 58% of maps she has been banned on, and then when she's available, an 80% presence.
So yeah, very oppressive operator for sure to have out there, but not going to be around on this map. So
just a quick tech moment here at the start. We do all the building up, and then we come back to the Jazz.
Yeah, bringing it back, chilling, waiting for the players to be ready, set, and go. And that's the tech pause that needs to be resolved. Now, there's no momentum break for any of them yet, currently. Like, there's no round that had started. It's quite literally just the bands of the operators, so...
Have you been able to watch much of the tournament from home?
I have watched most of the first two games that were on the day.
What time is that in Europe time?
So, it's 6 hours later, so I think if we start like 10 a.m., it starts at 4 p.m. It's just the later ones where I decided to go to bed because I'm raising a puppy and the puppy needs some sleep as well.
Why didn't you bring them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Should have asked if
I thought that's what the delay was.
Yeah.
Getting the puppy passport.
Yeah.
The other bands. So those have been done at this point. Flora's, Blackbeard, and Kaid. Blackbeard has been in the right hands, very deadly. They haven't been as frequently banned. They're still one of the top bands, but compared to the choice of shields, they're actually the third shield to be banned. Monty screams away at the top with Blitz, and then Blackbeard. And, I think they're still trying to find their sort of shape, but shields generally, and this is so team-specific and so team-driven in terms of a data, all of them fall under 50% win rate. So, although they might feel powerful at certain moments, statistically, all of them are losing more than they're winning.
That is definitely one of the statistics to keep in mind. Also, of course, they have been nerfed. Is a pretty important part to bring in there. We're not seeing these shields as we did 3-4 months ago, for example. So there's definitely that big change over there. And, we're talking about Monty being above Blackbeard, but I think there will never be an opportunity where a shield does it better than Montaigne, except for if you maybe combine Monty's abilities with, any of the other shields at the same time.
Well, here we go. Finding our way in, obviously, on towards lockers as the first hold here, and you sort of start trying to get a taste, get a measure of how these two teams play. Razah Company, they're very quick, very aggressive. They love to keep the pressure on. They love to keep finding fights and fights and fights. And at the same time, you know, Shopify Rebellion has those players. Ambi has had a phenomenal tournament so far. Comes into this without the data from the previous series, I think 7th best rated player across all of them. As I said, dropped off a little bit against Furia, who too like to play that aggressive style. So my eyes are going to be sort of drawn towards, unfortunately, the birthday boy to see if he can try and win against something that's already kind of dampened his spirits a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I also had him written down as my player to watch for the team of Shopify Rebellion. And just quickly talking about the setup here, of course we're going downstairs. Of course we're seeing that the Goyo is going to be out here. I mean, there's a couple of different ways to play around this basement site, but it always kind of relies around trying to stall as much as you possibly can. This might also be part of the way that they try and counter Razah. Razah, as you mentioned, they like to go quick. Okay, so what do? You give them a part to the map, but you force them to start taking gunfights, force them to get into difficult situations. If you're too spread out, they're going to be able to waltz right over you, so you need a bit more of a compact hold.
Starts with the attempt clear over the top. Force Ambi further away. As I said, he's probably going to be the front liner that tries to find engagement, but he knows that the pressure is coming in a little bit too hot and heavy, and you have everything you can work with down below. Obviously, the slowing, the stalling, that is the play that you get yourself formulated around, so those Goyo canisters will be well placed and played in the Twitch drone. SDK, you assume, is doing their best to get rid of them. Grixer playing that deep echo role as well, and they sort of get the double split. Sometimes they'll do this. Read that information. It gives you the great tell. Are they going for a vault drop? Can I try and maybe lead a frag around on a rotation and see what's available? Or, obviously, later on, probably deny the plant itself. A minute 40, though. And Razah are making sure they are not wasting any time. Open control. Hatches are done. Vlastry holding on towards the bottom of white and a swing on towards green as well. Will they try and charge these Candelas? And will Shopify Rebellion be ready for it?
Now, the map is pretty big, so as soon as they decide to go for a certain push, there's not going to be too much opportunity for them to rotate around. You see that the shock drone is coming in, removing a bulletproof and 2 of the Goyo pockets that are on the site. There's still a couple of that around there. They're struggling to actually open up the breach because of that mirror window. Selma being used together with some of the X-Kairos. And I'm not sure if that opened up fully as they wanted to. Maybe actually eventually. But it does seem up like it will be a normal kind of lockers push. They're trying to just edge in that plant, but there's still that one Goyo canister out there. There's still Rexen that carries a Nitro Cell, and there's still Yokais that could be used to deny this plant in the next 50 seconds.
Well, they're going for the plant itself, but they're forced off by the fire. They just couldn't withstand it, and that'll buy them some time. As you said, 45 seconds, 3 smoke canisters will be more than enough as alongside that C4. So the pressure, Razah, as they pick up the first kill. Rexen gone, C4 off the board. Another cover of the blind, another smoke canister topped, and well, there's even a second to follow through. Where are you going to drop onto? A player, most likely. They're going for the plant once again, and he probably regrets holding the Candela, but they cannot get it stuck. Basetto, he's going to have to try and drive himself through the smoke as Grixer finds STK. Razah have just stalled out. Here's one more attempt, one more very well thrown. Basetto, you cannot just sit, you cannot hope. He has to run through this to even have a chance at the round, but I think they've realized it's not going to quite lock in. There's the drive behind the bomb chassis, but at this point, it's an easy cleanup on the single position. Shopify Rebellion.
What the fuck are you doing?
This is something I've enjoyed doing at home, watching all their hot mics going live at the end of rounds. They've been very amusing to listen to. But Rebellion, they win their very first round. As I mean, it did come down quite close in the end, but of course the time was ticking down. There was only one objective for those defenders to go through, and that was to stop that plant from going on. And they did that perfectly. I mean, the opening kill was there, but just as mentioned, there was too much utility. There was Goyo pockets, there was smoke canisters, there was a Nitro Cell, there was Echo drones, all on the board, which just made it almost impossible to go for that plant without any further control. But this is exactly what Shopify Rebellion did, for example, against FaZe. Give them the map. Let them start working on their plan. But we are hunkering down. We're slowing them down on the actual part of the map that matters. They can have all the other parts of the map.
Just had a quick scan back over it. In terms of the bank played, Razah has not been able to actually win an attack on the Lockers site. Of course, the previous 2 times, win or lose the map against PSG Talon or against BDS, respectively. it just wasn't a site they could get the attacks onto. And, well, to be fair, they didn't really get any at all onto BDS's defense. It was a flawless defense from the half of BDS. All 5 defensive rounds played, all of them won. So the big pressure here. They did win 3 in their hold. Their take on towards PSG Talon, which turned into a pretty hefty sort of map win. I think they're trying to eye up 2 here because they do have a defensive game for it. They're able to withstand against some of BDS's approach about 4 times, but
yeah. I mean, the overall percentages for Razah are very heavily skewed towards the defense. They have a 67 percent win rate on the defense and only a 39 on the attack. So, you know, the defense is always going to be their game here. Good use there, by the way, off that shock drone, taking out 2 pieces of utility alongside one of those evil eyes. That is going to be a bit of a relief trying to take stock later on, which is, of course, one of those important parts if you want to go for a push here. Now, one of the other key positions is, of course, going to be Janitor. You do have to take care of Janitor if you want to go for a window repellent and go for the plant. But Rexen is out there, has a mute gemmer too, actually, has a mirror window, has a serial laser gate, so it's going to be almost impossible for them to get rid of this area without pushing someone in from the Janitor door. And look at that Evil Eye, by the way, on the opposite side. Even if they manage to get Heart Breach on it and the serial laser gate is not able to destroy it, they have the Evil Eye that could shoot it out.
It's a well-threaded hold, but there's always opportunities to find a breakthrough, and that's what they're running the numbers on. Met against the gates here. They'll have to burn some utility or just burn it with their body instead. Basetto screams through the laser gates and gets some of the wrested control here of stock. Now, with the cross angles, they keep the pressure up, Razah. They know that they ran out of time last time, and there's a very deep roam coming around. Canadian is the one sort of on the loose. Not always the specific player to expect on a roam or a flank, but, well, he's the specific player that loves to be underneath with an intel operator. It's one of his favorite and most classic positions, and as you can see, being red, Flastry's got the long watch on lobby, but should be able to get themselves in. 45 seconds, though, and they're up to the roof. They're repositioning. They're trying to formulate a take, but it's too late in some manners.
There's going to be 3 people from the rappel. We do have Basetto ready in stock. He needs to push Janitor. If they do not clear out Janitor, this hold, this push, where they're trying to go in from the windows is absolutely opportunity-less. Rexen is just going to be able to shut them down one by one. So Basetto is in a key position here together with Live, who needs to push in here. Oh, gets taken down by Ambi.
From the back line, Ambi tears the head off for 1 and out to break towards the top of Banana, but as STK falls off the side of the building and Surf makes Basetto fall on stock. Just another failure to land here. Flastry suffers the wrong side of a flawless. That was another strong opener here. Shopify Rebellion off to a good 2-round start.
Yeah, so what we basically saw these last 2 rounds is Shopify Rebellion, they put up a stronghold. They focus almost everything on a certain part of the map. And then we see Razah Company trying to take it. But they're late. They're taking too long. They're not taking into account the other pieces of the puzzle that play into this. Basetto had stock. Great. He needed to push for Janitor. However, there was someone inside of the elevator. There was no pressure coming in from the lobby.
Nope.
Person was just free to do whatever he wanted. Kanto wall wasn't opened up, so there's not even any pressure coming in from that side. And then you have 3 people on the rappel, knowing that there's a person inside a Janitor, with a mirror window, with mute, with an evil eye that's stopping any other opportunity you have from opening it up. So they kind of just ran with their heads against the wall, hope for the best, which they didn't get. But the flawless round coming out from Shopify. So 2 very good rounds from them, but Razah Company not really addressing the issues that they need to address to get towards the point, to get towards an execute.
In the same sort of conversations I had about Razah before, it's sort of the same thing for Shopify Rebellion. When they played this map against FaZe, they only got that first attack on the second half. I remember sort of casting it and thinking, oh, they're 5-2 up. This can only go so well. And then it didn't. FaZe Clan, massive resurgence to just knock defense after defense after defense against them. They struggled with the opening engagement. They, I think, only got about 4 or 5 over the entirety of the map, and a lot of them weren't on the rounds that they won. So them being able to get themselves a first step here is that growth of their game on towards Bank itself, but shows that even 4 defenses for them wasn't enough when they got on towards their attack on the other side. Flastry Gets the Kanto angle open here with the eyes across the top towards Elevator, and they're just trying to force any top floor players to get out of there alongside the Deimos. I think they're sick and tired of the slightly loose game being played here.
Yeah, the Deimos is being brought in here to hunt down the individual parts of the hold that might be troublesome. They realized there was someone out on the elevator. They had to clear him out. So they use a Deimos track. At the same time, they open up Kanto. The player is literally forced out of that position because you don't know what's going to be coming next. However, Razah Company, of course, happy to fall back. They're happy to give that top floor up. I mean, it's not that important for this side of the map. And especially as that Twitch drone fails to open up one of those mirror windows and a Nitro Cell opens up with Live. Well, that is just another great start here for Shopify Rebellion.
And that's it. That's another entry statistic into their favor. That's another bit they can sort of double down and bring the majority on that side. They've still got a tricky situation here. They're proposing a chance at a drop. You've got Flashtree rotating around towards Beepers. They're going for the pinch and the cover here on the back, but it only takes one rehearsed sort of bit of motion or the C4 from Rexon, and it's all she wrote. Really, that's all the cover of it, and they're holding on to it. Subaru canisters, I'm wondering where they're going to come into, maybe on towards quad wall, expecting that push.
We have one on blue again. Canadian is on the roam, and as Surf gets another kill, he could be coming up if they do decide to go for quad wall.
Well, that's it. There's the first canister frozen. The Habana pellets will stay cold, and well, they can try and keep rolling those as well because there's nobody stopping. The Tubarão juggling that utility. The X-Kairos take a long time. Flashtree does find Ambi. Gets a bit of a lifeline here from the side of Beepers. Brings it into a 4 versus 3, but here comes that rotate round the back. They're well aware of it as Flashtree does find Rexon. Flashtree finds his third on Beepers. There's the cover and the cross, but they're fighting and fighting their way in. They're going for the plant in the position underneath the hatch that they had before. The bulletproof was giving the read, and Flashtree rotating their way up, but a post-plant situation. First time in this series so far. Now they have vertical control, but that is all they have for the round. Potentially an ace is needed here. Flashtree's been able to have a couple of huge games and huge series for the roster against PSG. Was massive, big plays on Bank, and he might be able to add to that tally. He gives the location of where he is away. 19 seconds. There's one on the kit, one on the rotate. He's keeping himself wide. He's expecting the fight to come flat over stock. It's an important one, but he can't quite get it to land.
The teammate out there as well, just to go for a little bit of extra mind games there. But it's going to be a 3-0 for Rebellion. I mean, they had the round at the start of it, right? They did the very first pieces. They had the double opening to go through. However, Flashtree coming up huge, opening up the entire site for them, getting themselves with the plant eventually as well. But he wasn't able to lock it off in the end. And now a technical timeout call. They need some time to discuss. That last round was already better. They managed to get the diffuser down. They managed to work with the issues that were there. But those first 2 rounds, that is probably what they're going to be talking about now. You need to bring in more width into your attack to actually address the issues and address the strongholds that Shopify Rebellion have used.
I mean, that's it. It's time for conversations. That round, again, as close as it got, was on the back of a Flashtree 3K.
Yeah.
Right? As I said, they were sort of taking that support position on the side of Beepers, but without that, yeah, other people might have got those kills. Yeah, that's only 5 kills total across the 3 rounds for the roster, including that 3K, and it's, a full start here for Razah Company. They're feeling the pressure potentially, they're feeling the weight, but also, I think, most importantly, they're feeling a very well-coordinated defense from Shopify Rebellion. Everything seems to have checks and balances. There's cover, there's crossfire, there's truly a very well-put-together problem that they cannot seem to crack. Talking of, as I cited it before, across the times Razah Company has played at this site, they have not been able to win the attack across lockers. Can they break that trend?
It's going to be a different approach coming out here from Shopify Rebellion. They're bringing a little bit less of the delay they had before, as in no mirror, no echo. Instead, they're bringing out the Tubarão, and they're bringing around the Fenrir. So might look to go in for a little bit more aggression. And that could be a response to the tactical timeout we've just had from Razah Company. They probably just discussed, okay, this is what went wrong. We need to be quicker on this. We need to make sure that we're putting up pressure from multiple different angles. And instead, Shopify Rebellion, they might go aggressive for a round here. Try and take these gunfights. You see it Surf currently around on that roam with the Wamai. Of course, immune to these Candelas that will be coming out from Flashtree later on. He's just going to try and hide for as long as he can and see if he can catch one off guard.
Surely he gets caught out here and droned. I mean, obviously he has an escape route he can take. And, well, we'll see if it can be something that cuts them off. The curiosity towards the top floor, and a fight's about to start. How aware are they? Very. Oh, and they don't get the... Oh, they do. I was going to say, if that got away from them, that could even be just as devastating. They obviously had the full read on the player. He had about a 12-yard dash. Yeah. And it's just not good enough there.
Almost made it out.
Almost made it.
Yeah. But that's going to be a free entry for them. And this helps for the side of Razah. They now have that one kill they don't no longer need to worry about. It's also the Warden, of course. That's off. So Candela's going to be way more effective. You don't have to be afraid of them being able to fire back in these situations where you're trying to go for the push. However, the main issue now is the Tuberau is stalling the potential for opening up these hatches. He's playing right underneath, right next to the bomb chassis. He's just going to be stalling it for as long as he can. Of course, he's going to be running out at some point. He probably has like about 20 more seconds where he can play in his position. They know exactly that he's here as well, but he's trying to stall for as long as he can so those Wamai Goyo canisters stay up for a bit longer.
At this point, they're trying, as you said, get control of it. The Maestro cams will have some of the eyes towards it as well. There's the long watch, and nothing feels longer than an X-Kairos popping when you need them to be done. The early destruction of those canisters, but the worry is still Canadian on the smoke, the single C4, and just how devastating they can be. So what you kind of need is a little bit more of that flash replay from before. Put the pressure on towards green stairs, down towards the door itself. You can see they're propped and ready. They couldn't really get anything cooking on the backside of bot white. But at this point, with nobody inside garage getting the attention there just has to be something or someone there. They're going for the plant. The juggle utility needed to start, and it starts, but there's the first smoke canister. And again, I'm looking at the timer app, 30 seconds.
They need someone to come in from elevator or from the main stairs. I said it before, you need the width. You need to bring in the distraction, but it's not happening. Of course, Grixer is currently the one that's trying to hold that off, so Canadian should be finding himself in a relative safe spot to continue throwing him in. Yeah, one missed thrown, and the second one missed as well, so the plant's going down.
Oh no! The thread goes through. They're able to get the plant off. The C4's too late. Now it's an aggressive retake, but that is the watch and the wait. Perez and Flastry, one apiece, but taking the header for one, can't trade it out. And, well, I guess sometimes things just don't connect in the same way. I'm assuming, obviously, that they have more faith in it. You could see the C4 swing came out just after the plant was confirmed. Those are the narrow margins you're playing with.
That brings them their first round in the matchup as well. With a near flawless round, I mean, the plant was down just a single trade to come out, but as you mentioned, the missed smoke, the reason why that one went south there, of course, last time they had more contingencies in place. They had the mirror, they had the extra C4 there, they had the yokais. There was so much more opportunity that they had to try and stall out that plant. They tried to go a bit more aggressive here right after the tactical timeout. It kind of came back to bite them as they lost the entry on the side of Shopify Rebellion, and Razah just made perfect use of that. But again, letting it come quite late. And if it wasn't for those smoke canisters missing, they wouldn't have gunned that plan down again. So, the width is still needed.
I think that's it. I'm not going to say it's lucky that things happen, because it's siege and goes back and forth. But if those smokes had landed where they had last time, it would have been a similar hold to the last round. They still needed the pressure, whether that came through, how many of those kills came afterwards in the sort of attempt to retake. Quite a lot of them. And they've been given a moment here. They've been given a chance to breathe, most importantly after their timeout as well.
Yeah.
Which, if that had gone away from them, yes, it's the toughest site to take, but still. Now they have that little bit extra momentum, that little bit of energy, and Fire Rebellion probably go back to that round and, you know, a little bit frustrated. Here's a very, very quick bout of pressure on towards top square. As I said, this team loves to attack. They love to attack that opening 30 seconds, that minute, and just make their presence felt. There goes Rexon. And another timing gift falls upon the lap of Basetto, but he makes sure to punish it.
I was going to say, like, again, we're going to be seeing a heavy play coming around from the Janitor side. They need to take care of the player that's out there. Well, they've just done that. They've managed to remove Rexon from that position. I believe the mirror window has already been cracked as well, so it doesn't matter if someone is going to be retaking that position for now. Of course, you can still use the wall, but you just don't have the same visibility as they would have had otherwise. See 2-3 players actually coming over towards the balcony as well, where they can go for stock or from the top of square. So we're not going to see as heavy as the Nitro to come through. Almost would have caught 2, but instead just a little bit of damage to STK.
Wow, this opening body, will it net them the same reward? Surf doing his best to hold on towards the top of white stairs, but the pressure is surmounting and surrounding. Live is caught out, able to slip their way back towards site here, Surf, and retake the position that they lost at the very beginning of the round with Rexon's death. Now, a minute 20, one body down. Live, it's your entry. It's that sort of pressure position with the Ash itself. Not sure if they've been able to get off the ability on towards the mirror window or how watched they're going to be. One that was set up inside Janitors, but it might change the approach. We'll see in a second, theoretically, when he turns left to look through it, but the fact he's not using it makes me think that maybe the Ash have been able to get their work done.
Yeah, the mirror window was already cracked, so he's not going to be able to use that one. I think it was done right after Rexon died. There was no one there, of course, to try and protect it for any meaningful measure, but he's still playing there. It's still a power position to go through. It's just going to be important that they are trying to put the pressure onto Janitor, but Grixer is there as a secondary support, holding the door through those shelves. It's going to be making it very difficult for him to go through, but they just use the rotate instead as they're in the middle of the site, as Perez finds a kill as well, and the plant is being attempted.
Very, very good strike there. Grixer couldn't even stop the entrance and the execution of his teammate, but Ambi does! Finds his rotate round from the console side and gets Picetto down. Now, that is an awkward hit to recollect. They take the first kill. Very well put together. The crossfire is lining up a bit for Ambi, but the kid is back in their pockets, and so is the kill. Razah growing and growing. That's the 2 rounds they said that they're wanting. If they get 3, and suddenly the second half of this game becomes a little bit dicey.
They just walked into the site. There was no one there watching. Of course, Ambi managed to get himself a kill right afterwards, but the player inside the Janitor's surprised. They thought the push was coming in from the hallway. Instead, there's suddenly someone in the middle of that rotation coming in from the middle of the site. And that kind of threw the spanner in the works. That stopped them from having those stronghold positions that they had earlier on. And now, going back towards the basement site. Again, bringing back the utility and the lineup that they've had the first time they won this, because they won it based on the amount of utility that they had. They could stop that plan for such a long time. And on the second round, where they played it here, we mentioned it, the smokes were slightly off. The plan was able to be snuck in, and suddenly Razah Company found themselves around. So, them going back to having that mirror, them going back to having that echo could be crucial here, especially because one of them was upstairs. Gives you the freedom to know whether or not someone is going to be pushing in from the vault. The other one, of course, used on the site itself.
3-2. Now, at this point, as I said, Razah, they've been able to build themselves back in. And, you know, it's not entirely the comments on Shopify Rebellion's attack. They will have done their prep, as both teams have in coming into this. They have lots of data on how each other likes to be on bank. But Razah are a great defending team. You said it. You know, they've sort of dabbled and danced around being one of the second best. I think at one point they were statistically. They might even still be around that sort of value.
67.8%. So that is a very, very big skewing towards the defense for them. So them picking up 2 of these rounds here already is huge on Bang. If they manage to get another one down, as you mentioned, at 3-3, they are looking really good to be trying to lock this one in.
Perez on the clear, hot droned around the top, and we're back towards the basement. And this, you know, could have, should have, would have go into Razah's, go against Razah even, but Razah were able to get it out based on the little blind spot of the smoke canisters. And well, let's see if they can try and utilize the momentum that they've built from these past 2 rounds to make it a more sort of decisive round win. We don't have the loose play this time round from the side of Shopify Rebellion. They don't have Rexon out and about, and they haven't been given that first early engagement, which has given Razah time to start getting these hatches. But the main thing, as it was before, is the juggle of the C4, of the smoke canisters. Those consistents, they're still there. You have the Echo drone as well that can always get itself into this problematic position. And there's the destruction of parts. The bulletproof will get caught out. There it is.
Oh, missed.
No, there it isn't. I'm worried about losing the drone, though, because they know how important that utility is to destroy.
Yeah, again, opening up the same amount of areas as they did before. That's just a regular drone that's spotting out the bulletproof. There's no one under the desk. There's nothing behind the desk either. So now they just have to start focusing. There's a minute left on the clock. The yokai drones are rotating around. Basetto is trying to see and dip into that planting spot, see if there's anything coming in response. You hear the smoke canisters popping off. That's one yokai gone. But there's still a second one out there. His life finds Canadian and the plant is being attempted.
That's the smoke. The smoke's been caught out somehow. The pressure on the back, it's live. And this is everything that we sort of called for and wanted. It sort of drew their focus. They were playing with the Echo drones there as he swung up live at the crossfire. And now they have taken this round by the horns and ready to sort of ride it to the end. It's a tough retake up the stairs as Flastry can just hold down on that gun with an almost limitless amount of bullets. The crossfire of Basetto, and you said it was close to a flawless before. This time it is. And Razah, 3 rounds, and each one seemed more convincing than the last.
Yeah, they really started to grow into it. Like, again, if we're talking about round 4, right after the tactical timeout, we can put that down to an error in the smokes, why that plant was allowed to go through. Then, in round 5, they started to have a little bit more bite to their actual attack. They realized, hey, no one's watching top square. We can just walk in and take Janitor that way rather than go through the hallway, which is being watched by 2 of these players. And in that last one, again, they just went for a perfect execute. This time it didn't come down to missed utility. It was them absolutely overwhelming them, finding the important kill into Canadian first, which stopped those smoke canisters to go through. Then finding the yokai drones right afterwards as well, which allowed them to go for that post-plant position where they had both top floor under control, they had servers under control, and they still had someone around on main stairs with an LMG just holding down the trigger so no one could pass.
It's a great setup for exactly the response that was coming through, and I don't want to use my gift of premonition too often, but I will assume that if this map goes away from them and continues to go away from them and eventually maybe goes towards Razah Company, all of that has happened after the round that there was the teabagging.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like there's going to be a lot of Portuguese.
Let me write that one down.
A lot of Portuguese and Canadians messages for a period of time. But it's the game of 2 halves, and just as well as Razah setting preparations for Shopify Rebellion's hold, let's see what has been done on the reverse. Now, this is sort of the hold that I was talking about and how Razah likes to play. Look how spread out they are. A lot of the players all over the map. The clash is going to be that early warning, so if they do go for a rush, you can sort of say, no, I can buy us some time, get back. It's very quick, depending on how you've set up the hatches to do the synergy, but now they've got to wait. There's nobody to immediately put the pressure on. They can survive at this point. And it only takes a couple of seconds. As I said, if you've got the hatches open, you can drop all the way from the top floor to the bottom. And you can start to see that motion come through here. But as the Monty enters in towards open, doesn't get caught out. SDK, Tiburao maybe overstayed their welcome a couple of steps too long. And within a minute, they've been able to force a lot of these players back down.
Still alive though, and with a nitro in hand, so he's going to be able to use that one if a plant is going to be attempted later on. Servers hasn't received any attention yet from the side of Shopify Rebellion. This is looking more like they want to take other parts of the map first, then start working on the hatches. You see it right here, Surf. It is being stalled, however, by the Tiburao. If they would have picked him up by now, that hatch would have been opened up. You could have started putting pressure down onto the sides. This one is more important, though, because this is allowing you to start focusing on Basetto, forcing back towards the site, because he can no longer play in servers safely.
That's it. Basetto is just going to have to sort of tuck his way out of there and try and pull himself back. The same way that there's a juggle of utility, it is exactly the same as you said. 2 C4s, 3 smokes, and all of the danger behind it. It was very quick focus on getting rid of the other bits of utility, the Goyo canisters, but the same 45-second dance everybody has to have on the default plant spot. Now there's a hold. Yeah, a hold and a watch, but that's all this staircase is, right? It cuts through the middle of it. They know full well that there's going to be a player at the top of it and a player at the bottom of it. But do you feel confident enough to swing it? The smoke canister are actually going to stop them here. I think the drones made them think there's going to be a quick rush down the stairs. Canadian takes a lot of damage as he does drop in towards Vault. Or elevator. You can see Grixa's proposed around Vault itself. They're trying to just force the player out so they get aggressive inside White Stairs. There is Live, taking care of Ambi, so now the Monty is very isolated. A smoke canister is going to force him further back. There needs to be Grixa with the support, but he is caught off And what a great response that was from Razah. Now, there's at least one, but not for very long. And you just look at how fluid that defense was. As soon as they got those warning bells, as soon as they got the idea that it was coming from the back, bam, you have the smoke aggressively pushes up white, gets that kill so they can cement and focus themselves on towards the Monty. You have the crossfire from gold looking across towards the vault drop. Credit to Razah's response.
Yeah, they definitely did well there, especially I think it started off with that initial take on the vault. Someone dropped down, instantly shut down by the player that was playing near gold, together with Grixor, of course, that was in the vault entrance as well. Canadian knew he was there. They gave the call out, but there was nothing he could do because there was still someone on the main stairs. You mentioned the smoke, so as soon as he would unshield ADS, he would have received a shot from the side. So well done indeed by Razah Company. They did exactly what they were required to do in that bottom floor. They were fluid, they were responsive. Now they need to go on to the next site to complete that as well. None of them too worried about it for them because, again, mentioned their defense overall pretty solid. So they are probably completely vibing in the rest of this match, considering the fact that they managed to pick up 3 attacking rounds, which is very uncharacteristic for them.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of setup here. Now, when they were defending against PSG Talon, they won all of their defenses, but they still took 4 against BDS during the sort of...
That's enough here.
I mean, it was a 2-0 loss against BDS as well. It was BDS in sort of strong form, and still getting themselves a solid opening half, getting themselves a solid sort of lockdown there, and this was one of the sites that they lost during the hold, and the other actually being lockers the second time they went back to it. Still, things drifting a bit further is the team talk. One that's going to get their heads a little bit more glued together here. Their worst performance was their last one, Shopify Rebellion. And they have that opportunity with the day off to sort of rebuild, restructure, reassess.
Yeah, the 07 is not something you ever would like to have received, especially not on the grandest stage of all. Bit of a spawn peek from STK. He's not finding anybody, but they believe they have seen him instead. Some bullets flying back, but he's not taking any damage. There was a drone downstairs as well, just calling it out for him. Opening up the hatch now to start putting up some pressure onto the sewers. He's quickly falling off as well. Knows he cannot really stick around that long, because as soon as the skylight is being taken, the entirety of the square area is under direct threat. So instead, moves himself over towards lobby. Maybe there's a bit of pressure coming in from that direction. And, you know, there will be. It's just on the repels.
Now, there is obviously the response to maybe those loose players. The Vigil being hunted by Rexon. Wants to try and get himself in. Was the one that when Ambi unfortunately suffered in one of his performances where he wasn't the best player on the team. Rexon stepped in. He's obviously had huge games on this map in the past as well. Some of the best plays we've actually seen ever on this. So, letting the first slip on by, maybe hoping for a second that they don't expect him to be in this position, but, you know, it's not always the most common divide. Someone has to force that player out of stock.
Making him a bit uncomfortable, the fact that the breach has now been made. The hatch has been opened up. You see what he does? He sees the impact going down. Rexon instantly rotating around. He's like, if you drop down this hatch, I will find you. I will kill you. I will shut you down. And SDK will drop down that hatch as soon as any pressure is coming down from the side of stock.
But he has to be quiet about it, and it's just drawing time out. Obviously, the track stingers keep the stairs secure, but, you know, the more he's juggling up and down, the more that he's not really able to contribute anything right now. There needs to be a hammer to push these players on towards the anvil of Rexon.
Late mirror window just put down into Janitor. That's going to be causing another challenge here for the side of Shopify Rebellion. They did know that second one was out there. The first one has been opened up, but the second one's still around. The fire, not enough to actually dislocate him, and the drone will confirm that. We'll have to put down another bolt if they really want to shut him down, or they need to send Rexon in to try and get the job done.
Smokes go for the cover. There's a long fight. They might try and bait some utility out, but it's allowing the player to slip on by live. Takes a bit of a bite, but he's happy to try and keep contesting it. It's underneath. SDK gets the impact. There's a down onto one, though, and that's the cue. Shopify Rebellion to keep pushing on towards the site itself. They get that first kill. There's the second as Grixor gets Flastery on the back end. The long watch from the big windows. Now, can they formulate it into an attack on the site? Canadians in with the kit. They're breaking their way across with the second. And it's down to Perez and only Perez. 17 seconds. None of it seen. Great, great bounce back after the timeout.
Great bounce back indeed. I was looking at the time though. It was ticking down. Nothing was really happening for a very long time until they realized, hey, there's someone below us. He's trying to put some damage down. That's the moment they pulled the trigger and decided, okay, it's a 3v5 on the site right now. They just pushed that trigger. They just went for it and managed to find themselves with their 4th round as well. They equalized the score, find themselves with their attack right away. And now needing to continue that. Onto open area we go, which is going to be the tertiary side before we heading back towards the basement, which is of course that big challenge on this map. Winning rounds in that basement as an attacker is usually key to, well, winning the entire map. The difference maker of, you know, getting a 4-2-4-2 split or making it go like a 5-1. First half was a 3-3 due to the fact that the basement side was
Now expecting themselves on towards open. This isn't sort of always the one that we've seen them bring themselves to. They won it once and then didn't really dabble down with it again against BDS as a sort of defense. They've obviously had the otherwise success against PSG Talon. Will this be some of the sort of change of face here? How are they going to respond towards the improved round there? It took a while to get that first take, but I mean, IQ on this map, it's just bread and butter, really.
Yeah, I was just wondering what they were going to try and do with that Valkyrie camera. Of course, you would get some information if they were pushing in from the side of the map, but I mean, it's not really anything you instantly have on that. They've also barricaded off the door, so you would have had a sound cue anyway if a push was coming in from that direction. Now the camera is going to be destroyed quite quickly here to be able to provide any more information due to the IQ being around. So a good counter coming out there from the side of Rexen. And as the first minute is passing down slowly, pressure on the top 4 is starting to rise. But we have a roamer around there. There is someone that's just patiently waiting for a repel to come through. And as the Buggy drones roll, it is the drone to be shut out. But from where did it get shut out? They do not know. SDK, he's just waiting patiently in the corner for a repelling to come through so he can get his kill. He's just biding his time.
How checked will this position be? They've rotated a bit off. There's some of the flat pressure coming towards the top of square. They've utilized some smokes to clear out stock, clear out janitor, or at least some awareness of it. But SDK, with all the confidence of somebody deep currently behind enemy lines, if he chooses the right moment live. I thought they cleared out stock. They actually pulled themselves back. There's SDK. Reveals his position. The first is gone. Surf trying to angle for the second fight, but with all of this clutter still in position, he gets some of that visual sort of cover in here. Now operating with a man deficit. There's a danger that's about to come from underneath as Flastry does get Rexen. Pulls some of the control here on towards lobby as well, and Ambi needs to try and isolate one of these engagements up top. There's a little bit of a flirt with danger, but at this point, yeah, exactly. They don't need to take the fight. They can drop down. They're wasting utility and now even more time because that's a position that has to be checked and rechecked. And SDK, he's still sitting around. Ambi does get that one, but probably wishes he could have got both. There's 50 seconds now, and look at what they've lost. The RAM, the IQ. We talked about the importance before, and now it's just, well, what do you have to try and cover a plant here or break your way in?
That's the thing. They still need to break their way in. They have the top floor under control slightly. They've not really been able to do anything with it. They haven't been able to use those angles to their advantage. So what do you need to do? You have 30 seconds to try and find yourselves an entrance. But they're very spread out on the side of Razah. They're all over the place here. And you might find a mute gemmer or two, which will help you opening up the quad wall. But with 15 seconds by the time those Selmas go down, it's going to be absolutely opportunity-less as Grixer gets shut down. Whilst Perez is fully flashed.
Full flashed, full white. Ambi doing his best to drive them into the side itself, but he's got to reload and run out of bullets. They're just going to have to tuck, but behind them, I think there's a drop that's about to happen. There's the cross. There's the cover. Just sort of run around the ringer on the top floor. They felt like they were in spin cycle. They could not get a handle.
Too much time just wasted on the top floor. Too much resources in the terms of bodies that they've lost. Just, there was no advantage anymore. They needed to do and push and create an opening. But when there's 40 seconds left, you're then starting to push quad wall, putting your Selmas on. There's 20 seconds left by the time they did that. You don't have any of the other angles, so they just tried to push themselves through, hope for the best. But Perez, inside of Archives, had a clean angle, not being challenged at all. They didn't know he was there. Finds a clean headshot right before they can actually dug in for the plant. So Razah find themselves 5-4. 2 rounds away from locking up this first map. And I said it before, if they want to take this series, I wholeheartedly believe that they need to take Bank as their own.
And obviously, no more pity points. No more playing for parts. You're finding yourself driven through. Both these teams played exactly the same amount of maps, so exactly the same amount of 3-map series coming into this.
Razah just won one more. This is the difference between those two. It's why they're second, and Shopify Rebellion came in third. You know, they said it. They saw that Razah Company, of course, improved a lot over the last year and are a pretty decent team right now. While they're kind of struggling against them here on Bank, is the 2 rounds away from losing the first map in this series. Now, of course, that doesn't mean elimination from SI yet. If you lose this series, you first go down to the lower bracket, but it does put you that one step closer to going home.
Rexon is going to try and get himself in towards Garage and get rid of that Fenrir in mind, but there is a player not too far away. Are they prepared for that inevitability? Flastry has been able to take a couple of big shots before, but I mean, a TCSG versus Glaz, who's really got the upper hand in this engagement. I think at this point it's just flipping the coin and seeing which player can see the first angle, the first opportunity. It's not going to be an easy one to take.
Blaster technically has the advantage here because of the fact that, of course, he's lower down, so the view will be limited from Rexon. But, you know, there you go, smoke canisters to come through. And this is where Rexon makes his own advantages, using Glaz's ability here to see if he can find a feat. There we go. That's a little bit of a tag gone. Not a smoke to be used, so he can continue that challenge.
Support has come over the side, and it seems like they're trying to bait it. Big throw. Flastry is not leaving. He knows if he turns tail, he's probably going to get caught, but, well, Rexon is out of smokes. At this point, he's used 2. There is 2 more on the support here for Grixer, but they probably want them to bait utility elsewhere and later, so he's just sort of made presence. And as I said before, last time we were here, it's been great and responsive. However, this attention towards Rexon has opened up server. They're getting themselves the wall opened here. You assume the Twitch is busy removing all the parts utility that they need gone.
Yeah, this will take a bit.
Obviously, yeah, it's the unfortunate nature. We're back. And, well, luckily in that period, nobody died. They did get, said, the wall open. Canadian can start trying to reverse turtle plant here and start baiting utility 50 seconds. You've got C4, you got smokes, you've got everything you expect. Pocket bulletproof camera, who knows how that'll be used.
You never know if it will be useful. Flastry's still waiting for Rexon to come in from the garage, but he's actually already on top of the hatch. He's looking to drop soon, I think. As soon as Canadian is deciding to go for that plant, he's going to try and drop in, find the kill on the player that is on the top part of that garage, and just secure a bit of extra ground. That will also, of course, suddenly turn the guns of people inside of red.
30 seconds, and another smoke canister pops itself. You know, Canadian is dabbling and juggling, a very experienced player, and there's the deep smokes right under Glaz's position a little bit. They're trying to bait the players to fall into Rexon's firing line here, but they are not taking it and accepting it. Paris gets Canadian. The shield is gone. The cover for Grixer to try and make the plant. You've got to do something. And there's the start of it. Gets the down onto 1, but has to go for the second and, doesn't find it. 3 versus 2. Can they hold F? He's waiting for the plant, but it's an easy shot down at the end of it.
Very important round to come through. We'll put them onto map point here. Almost that plant still going down, even though Canadian was shut down. Ambi with a crucial hold, but wasn't able to get the second kill as well, buying enough time for that plant to go through and get the second gun back up and running. And thus, Razah, they find themselves 6-4. No more timeout that they can utilize right now. They've used that earlier. It's all up to Canadian now to get his team back into it.
Will this be the first map that NA loses today? I don't know if that was a team kill with a grenade in the top right at the end.
I think he killed himself by probably got downed.
Probably got downed.
And then the grenade was in his hand, dropped in.
It was chaotic.
And then sadly blew up.
Oops. 6-4 now, and you know, we've still obviously got possibilities if they're able to win this again as they did before, 6-5. It's not impossible. There's been a lot of do-or-die moments, a lot of very close rounds.
Yep.
Still a great likelihood we'll find ourselves in OT on this opening map.
It is up in the air, that for sure. It's just that Rebellion, especially when they were playing down on that basement side, they've been struggling to work on getting that plant down. So, you know, bar the missed drone that they had on STK on the top floor side, or the open area, I have to say. That kind of, you know, stopped them from having the impactfulness that they wanted to have on that top floor. It's been too costly for them to go all the way through it. That's something they need to improve on. But of course, they're working on the top floor this time around. So you don't have to clear as much of the rest of the map as you otherwise would.
Now, this one took a little bit of time to cook. You could see them baiting for a play. It didn't work. They still won out the round, and they opted to move on to a different strategy. Not going to sort of sit and go for the catch itself. It's let's play against their utility. Let's break open the castles, the cover, anything that's going to try and catch. Jaeger, obviously, not always the most common, but that is the strategy between SDK and Live, is, look, everything they're going to want to do is from those windows. If we can catch as much of it as possible, then we pull away their plan A. It's important removal from the Twitch drone in this situation to just ensure that all of that very necessary destruction of mirror windows, which, you know, last time it was an Ash and a Sophia. That is not the case this time around.
I mean, I think they want to go for Sense Execute, and that's just, you know, taking out all those utilities that could pick up those Sense light screens. Is going to be providing them with an opportunity to just get them in. That way they can stop those mirror windows, they can stop basically any angle that they don't want to be seen from. And as you see right now, someone's being deployed on those mirror windows. Ambi will find the very first onto Besetto. That's a huge kill as Ambi fights down! A triple kill for Ambi as they line up perfectly. Beraz is down as well, and it's only up to Flash Tree in a 1v5. If he clutches this out, he is the savior of this map, with the plant already going down by Canadian. Those light screens from Sens are on point. There's nothing he can do against it as he's up against Ambi.
Making plays happen outside janitors seems to be a speciality. Huge, huge take. A flawless here, but
Let's fucking go, guys. Energy. Move.
when the stars align, sometimes you shoot them in the face.
A beautiful play from Ambi to come through. He was just taking a challenge onto Janitor, like, consistently. Found one all the way through onto the backhand of the site. Then two more line up. I mean, he had the shots. You see right there, Ambi taking out Besetto. Knows that there's a player in stock. Starts pre-firing. Knows the second one comes through. And just a quick micro correction to come in after he gets the first to shut down the Jaeger that was up close. An amazing play by Ambi. Most importantly as well, as that puts them up to 6-5. Able to lock this off towards an overtime.
I mean, it's fantastic play, obviously, but the fact that he pulled off an ace from that position a few days ago, playing as Gridlock in a very similar fashion. Deja vu world we are living in. Want to see me?
Want me to do it again?
Want to see me do it again?
We're back to open though, and this was a bit of a worry point here for the side of Shopify Rebellion. They lost a lot of their abilities up into the top floor. They need to make sure it doesn't happen again, and you see it. Live is playing upstairs, SDK is playing upstairs, Flashtree is playing upstairs. That's three people that are currently playing around in the CEO area. That basically eliminates you from going there, because if you take that fight, you're going to lose more than you actually gain, and they have the opportunity to actually fall back towards the site itself, which is the most important part of this round. Maybe even off this map. Right now, this side, this round. So, what do? What can you do? Do you go for a bypass? Just directly start putting pressure onto the side? Well, you really can't, because of the fact that you then have to go through open area, which can be watched from the top floor. So you need to find a good balance here between just holding off on that top floor whilst also putting pressure down on the horizontal level.
Now, the entry statistic is still one that has massively gone away here from Shopify Rebellion. They almost got it there, though. Live escapes with half his health straight through the soft. Only on 4 of the rounds that we've seen throughout this game so far, it has been them wresting control, and SDK suffers, but he can't be confirmed either. It's just not able to get the full lock, and there it is. Perez gets rid of Grixer. That is your hard breach, or at least one of them gone. But there's only one Selma left in the pocket of Rex in here, so he's got to make sure that wherever it's deployed, it's the right place. He has the long watch, but he now has to play much more cautiously, because if they get rid of him with the sense, with the expectation of the Ying, it's a sort of quad wall take here.
Perez also took out Grixer whilst he was on the rappel, so basically forcing off Rexen. I was watching, he was trying to provide some cover for the side of Square, so they have the opportunity to try and make a push. Look at this, Flastry knows there's someone in that corner. He's just waiting until he gets off his drone. He's trying to get himself a free kill. Someone else drops though, gets himself down to 1 HP. The trade is there. Surf will find him, will open up an opportunity to equalize this round again. Oh, the down to come in the meantime as well.
Perez caught out there. It was inside archives, maybe gave a little bit too much towards Shopify Rebellion, and that is sometimes the criticism towards Razah. They'll find themselves still prepped up a bit aggressively when things are going away from them. Look towards how one of the Falcons maps ended. And that's sort of a continued problem here that's opted with the foot ahead. Now, 40 seconds, Canadian has live. Backed into a bit of a corner, but the pressure needs to come elsewhere. And as I said before, Rexen might not want to be the risk. Misses the Candela. Is there anyone to close in on the back of it? Not quite, because they're worried about the swing round from the side. They've actually dropped out. There's a rotate underneath. There's Surf. Gets the kill. Now 20 seconds, SDK. Where's he going to go? Has a C4. Could try and long arm it up through a hatch, depending on the plant, but he gets the kill onto Surf. There's Brisetto getting the cover either side, but it's another 1 versus 2. Now SDK, the reload, can obviously play against the time. Do they know where he's coming from? Yes, they do. Is the big blind answer, but Blunt secured. Canadian gets it locked in. And I said we could be an OT. We definitely are.
We definitely are indeed. But again, a good push to come through. The entry kill of initially going towards Razah Company, but too aggressive, continuing to be out there and finding themselves picked up bit by bit. Great kill, by the way, from Surf. From above, locking down archives. That gave them the opportunity to start pushing in to the kitchen area, start getting the plant in where they needed to be. And now, overtime is upon us. 3 more rounds to decide who's taking his very first map. And we'll have the leg up going into the rest of the series. Back to the basement we go.
Now, I mean, it's a very aggressive sort of back and forth map, obviously, but I think there's only 3 players. Yeah, there's only 3 players with a positive KD ratio. Obviously, Ambi putting in the distance, as I said.
He's positive twice and a half, you know.
He's always been so consistent. He's such a great player, and he's having a great tournament. 1 off day, but 1 off day doesn't eliminate you unless it's the game that is an elimination game. Then that might be the one. But on the opposite side, obviously, Perez and Flastry, they're able to get themselves in here. So it's not that it's sort of one side holding on to it, but it's also not that it's sort of, you know, massively balanced. There's suddenly a lot of pressure on Ambi if they fall as that first engagement. There's pressure on Perez if he gets caught out rotating back round, and on a map where the attacks can be very wide and very dangerous. Here, Razah obviously starting themselves on towards Lockers, the site that they've been able to double down with success on here. Can Shopify Rebellion crack it this time?
That's that question. With 6-6. I mean, Shopify Rebellion in those last 2 rounds really bringing it up a notch as well. So if they manage to continue that momentum, again, there's no technical timeouts for either of these 2 teams available right now. So this is just going to be the IGLs and the focals inside the team to try and make sure this goes through. Openings being made here towards the open area. Now, you would assume that there's a hatch that can be dropped here by Flastry. I believe, it's actually live being out there. Has a shotgun, drops down a hatch indeed, back towards the site. So that means top floor cleared out, first floor now cleared out as well. Gives the opportunity for Shopify Rebellion to do the prep work that they need to do. Open up the hatches, start focusing out these players. Take care of the utility that is out there in terms of, well, maybe the ADSs, the bulletproof cameras, the Goyo pockets that will slow you down. And with a minute 30, they have plenty of time to do all that.
Waiting, just angling up the opportunity of an opening kill here. As I said, sometimes Razah can drift a bit too aggressively, but they play this site so locked down, maybe the most controlled I think I've seen them in any of the opportunities to cast them over this tournament. They know that they cannot gift that early engagement. The control of the cams, the read on the approach as they're steadying through the destruction of the utility. It's the 2 C4s, the 3 smokes. You say it every single time, time and time again, and that's the danger. But the change here is you don't have the shield of Canadian. They're trying to speed things up here. They're trying to make sure they can be mobile, maybe plant against the hard wall, get as close to it as possible, and make them second guess the utility.
The Grimbies are going to be huge here as well because it gives them the opportunity to know who's in a position to try and get a Nitro Cell out there. As soon as they step in, hey, they're now tagged, and there's someone that can drop down the hatch to try and shut them down before they can even press that detonator. Or even better, you just have Surf watching for their feet as they're slowly starting to move by. That's both C4s, I believe, inside of that little corner out there. So, as he actually reloads, there's no shots coming through. He's trying to bait. He's not going for those feet because those feet, I mean, it does some damage, but it doesn't quite get the job done. Flash will go down. The plant is being cancelled, however, but his smoke canister is live. Gets a double kill on his name. 9 seconds left. 3 people still upstairs. They're not going to be able to get this plant down in time, and that means Razah is going to be waking and winning this round.
Oh, there's the hold, there's the precious moment, and there's the drop on the player. Not able to confirm the C4, but they were able to confirm the fight itself. Closer and closer and closer that hold, that round got, but still not enough for Shopify Rebellion. They will find themselves once again fighting and staring down the precipice of losing the map and moving on towards the next. And I said it before, we find ourselves in the inevitability of OT. If these two teams keep playing as they are, we might find ourselves there for all 3 maps.
There was also a live 4K to go down there. Managed to find the first one with the smoke onto Canadian, which stopped that plant from happening. The second with the SMG-11 right over the top of things. And he had 3 players left on the top floor from the side of Shopify Rebellion. They needed to push in quickly. Of course, they managed to get that diffuser back down. They started planting. They managed to get a kill. With Live stepping in, shutting them both down, securing the victory in the process. 7-6. Razah find themselves in a good spot. They will be onto the attack, however, again, over this tournament, not great for them. But over this map, they've managed to find 3 out of 6 rounds so far. So definitely doing great. All they need is just a single one on the top floor, and they find themselves with map 1 in the pocket.
7-6. And, you know, it's a brawl back and forth. As we said, so far in the games played, mild spoiler alerts, but NA on top. No, I'm not going to say convincingly, but on paper it is. It's 2-2-0s.
Yes.
Right? And it was, you know, overtime. It was late matches. There was traded mounts. And then you look, and there was also, oh, that's a Caveira 3K in the last round.
With a bit of an interrogation.
With an interrogation. Yeah. So it was a very strange opening to our day. But NA, this could be the first map that they've dropped today. At this point, it comes down to, I guess, maybe even more their opponents. It's a slow clear. Perez.
And he's waiting for the Echo Drone.
Waiting for the Echo Drone. But, well, the Echo Drone is struggling to connect to a roof currently. Canadian giving the read-through. And obviously, they didn't go back to lockers. They stayed themselves here on the top floor. They won it once. They lost it once. And I'm figuring they expected the lockers hold. There it is! I mean, that rappel has always been criticized. It's had some big moments throughout this tournament, but if there's nothing else stopping you, it is very easy to remove that player. Ambi is dancing with death as Basetto does kill Canadian on the long range. They tried to sort of double down on that player, force them to not be able to catch the kill whilst they're escaping out of elevator, but well, the only one who's really suffered now is Canadian, and Ambi is on a sliver of HP left.
Both, of course, trying to find the head of the player that was out there. Canadian eventually got the worst of it. Ambi quite low as well. But they've taken out Perez. Perez, a huge driving force on the side of Razah. The thing is, though, Ambi himself, super low as well. They take out the Evil Eye that I said before. That one holds that mirror window that is inside a janitor. Basically keeps it safe from any kind of utility, any kind of hard breach that they might want to deploy. So they now have the opportunity to start putting pressure onto janitor, because that has been the turning point in every single round we've played up here. Whoever controls janitor controls this round.
But not a huge amount of time left. And the later this goes on, they've got the 2 smoke bolts, and they've got some flashes and 1 smoke grenade, but you know, you're only sticking it. You only need 1 of those 2 C4s to get close enough, and suddenly you've got to try and recoup your losses and rebuild towards another attempt on the plant itself. Razah knows that when they go for the operation here, it's got to be succinct. The first bolt will cover some of the aggression. The blind's over, and the second will get itself on the door of Long Desk. There's the movement in. They're inside and away at the races, trying to get themselves the wiggle room and the width, and there's an easy pickup on towards Ambi, who was sort of caught a bit lacking now. Protect Mr. Kit President, he swings their way in. But I think there's been a bit of a drop down and a rotate round. I'm not sure if they're underneath with the chance at a bite with the C4. It is. Rexon going for the ping, waits, lays it a bit early now, and, well, it puts it into a crossfire, but luckily for them,
Let's go!
Grixer and Serve have the cover.
Reset, let's go! Come on!
It is 0-0, as they like to say, on the side of Shopify Rebellion. Reset, it's just this one round that matters most. 7-7, all the way to 15. And it's all coming down to this point. Open area is the point that will be defended by Razah Company. We've seen struggles here from the side of Shopify Rebellion. They've not been able to get here comfortably. Of course, they did manage to take one of them home. But that was a 1v2 eventually as well, that they managed to clutch out. So they need to be a bit more dominating, I guess, over this side. They need to be quicker on taking what control they need, and the top four has been the consistent worry here. But then you start looking at the lineup. But of course, it's subject to change. There is the repicks that they could go for. But you see a Glass, you see a Ying, you see that the Capitao is coming through. So this might actually indicate a bit of a quick play to... Never mind. I mean, the Blitz still indicates a bit of quick play, but maybe over the top four. Try and see if they can get Janitor under control quicker.
The shield hasn't always been the most effective tool in their approach here. The map, yeah, it's awkward, right? It doesn't truly lend itself in, especially with how you're up against Razah. Sure, if you're playing against a team that you know is doing heavy setups that you can sort of take parts, and they're not entirely likely to do anything outrageous or outlandish when they go for the retakes, you can kind of lock it in. You can steady some control around square, shuffle your way in, get them behind the bomb chassis, and go for the plant. But the motions Razah makes means if you're not ready to go for plays like this, things aren't going to work. They're in and they're off. There's a quick break on towards the window. They've flooded their way into the site, and here the alarm bells are screaming. Caught on the drop, but they don't quite get the kill, and now that is a big moment. Abby couldn't lock it in. It is traded back by the Glass with the long overwatch, but it does mean the Smoke's in a position to try and slow and push, and Canadian has to potentially go deeper than they wanted to. Great motions here. But as they get dropped on the side, it means they're just executed, spun around, and they could not quite get the handle on it. They risked it. But unfortunately, gambling doesn't always pay off. The first map goes to Razah Company.
I said it, they were looking like they wanted to go quick based on their operator selection. They definitely did go quick, but he found themselves with too many angles being watched, and Razah being too quick on the rotate back down, using all the hatches that were available to them to put themselves back into that fight quicker than that the Shopify was able to get themselves onto the actual site itself.
Remember, that was Razah Co's map, and it went as far as it could. We obviously still have labs ahead of us, but before then, a quick break to talk about it.
Back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Back to the back. Take it back. Take it back. Back it up. 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 Take it back. Take it back. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. Let me take it back to the realness, feel this. to the realness, feel this. Back to the back to the back to the back to the back.
There are many great players who are not champions, who have never lifted the hammer, who might never lift the hammer. And it's not because they aren't good enough, they just might not put in what it requires to really get there. Because they are the goods and not the greats.
There is not 1 hour of the day where your mind can be off siege. You have to sacrifice everything to win.
If you were to win any event and call it quits, it would probably be the Six Invitational.
Chegar no topo uma vez, então assim foi um momento de muita emoção.
The Invitational is, the kind of the final checkpoint, the final test, and it meant the world to me.
History will be made here because for the first time on home soil, a Brazilian team will win a world championship.
The only thing that matters is the 4 guys next to you, your coach, and the screen in front of you.
No one ever really just goes and wins. You have to go through the pain, the hardships.
Phase are exploding!
You have to go all in. That's it.
Quem perdeu foi nós tudo ali. E a gente que vai virar isso aqui agora.
Você tem que confiar muito no seu time.
Não vamos desistir, não vamos desistir.
And brought it all the way back!
Passa demais, porra!
When you truly want to become the best, you truly have to believe that you are, because you have to play it 100%.
Team Rainbow. Carries Legion. Listen up. Hereford Base is now under our control. But we're not giving it up without a fight. Remember the mission. And do not let anyone stand in your way. Every action you take will be the difference between victory and defeat.
Well, what a way for us to open it up with every single round being needed for Razah Company to be able to take their first map and, well, their map choice against Shopify Rebellion.
And it wasn't just rounds, it was like amazing rounds as well, but with huge individual performances coming through and some of them to come in as well. So, very pleased with this very first map. It was, of course, Razah Company's map. They won it with 8-7. Not that that matters for anything, but it's a bit of a an indicator of how the rest of this match might go. If this now turns into like a 7-2 victory for Shopify Rebellion, then you start to worry a little bit for what's coming next. But we don't know until we are getting into that second.
And that's entirely it, right? Obviously, it's experienced teams trying to find their way to cook into these problems. And again, the fact that he's done that twice in that position is just ludicrous to me. That final rush round didn't quite net the results. They took a bit of a risk, obviously. And will they have the conversations to lock it down? You can see Super sort of clamoring and claiming and wishing the team would get themselves energetic and a little bit up, but look how much every single round win. I know that was the last one, but they were like that every single round win. Razah Company. They know how intense they need to be and how intense they want to be, and here is the split. Ambi, the MVP, but one MVP does not make for a map win.
No, that's for sure. He definitely played his heart out there with a 2 KD for just that single map. And we talked about it before. Ambi, the birthday boy, the no longer 18-year-old prodigy, but this time 19-year-old prodigy. I mean, he definitely plays a great game. It's just that they needed a little bit of extra from the rest of the team out there. That way, they might have been able to turn that one around. And now we're waiting for Labs to come up next. Second map in this series. As you see right here, by the pick and ban. A lot lies on is on line here, the side of Shopify Rebellion.
It's a map that they've both played. It's a map, again, that we have prep on, we have familiarity. They both played it against very good teams. It was BDS versus Razza, and it went 7-5 to BDS, so it went pretty much the distance. Again, even, it was sort of, 3 attacks they managed to pull together, and back of getting the 2 defensive rounds. So the defense was their worry. At the same time, on the other side, FaZe lost it against Shopify Rebellion, 5-7, and that was big blocks of rounds. So 4 attack successes, very strong opener. If they are getting themselves in, I'm not entirely sure who's starting on defense. That is actually, as weird as it is to say, the place where Razah Company are at the most risk against the approach from Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, for sure. And, Shopify Rebellion, they really need to start working in that momentum now. You were talking about the energy, super hoping that the energy was coming into the team for Shopify Rebellion, not really managing to get that done. Whilst on the other hand, the Razah Company screaming their lungs out every single kill, after every single round they win. And you don't want to let that momentum get away from you now. You need to neutralize that as soon as you possibly can and start taking Labs basically by the horns and reel it in and make sure that it is going to be your map as you picked it, so Lair can be the decider. That is that big question, because both these teams know that either if they lose now, they're playing for elimination tomorrow, or if they win, they'll be facing Virtus Pro in about 3 to 4 hours from now.
Last conversations with the coaches before, as you said, they're in either the fight, the live stage, tomorrow, the fight to survive. The winner of these 2 teams will have to play Virtus Pro later on today. The loser, I believe, is against OXG. So they know the tasks are far from easy ahead of them. Obviously, Virtus Pro, top of the group. Fantastic tournament so far. OXG have had big moments. The divides of teams getting into the places they are single maps at this point, even between these 2, the second and the third seed. Of who got to play who was a single map, a single sort of setup based on the split of points, which comes down to single OTs, a place that these 2 teams are both very, very familiar with.
No, for sure. And, that very first map kind of told us all how closely matched these teams are, the 8-7. I mean, we haven't had too many of them yet in the tournament so far. I think you can count them on both hands with all the maps that we've had. And often it is even more rare to have 2 of them. But we are going for a very quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with you shortly.
There are many great players who are not champions, who have never lifted the hammer, who might never lift the hammer. And it's not because they aren't good enough. They just might not put in what it requires to really get there. Because they are the goods and not the greats.
There is not 1 hour of the day where your mind can be off siege. You have to sacrifice everything to win.
If you were to win any event and call it quits, it would probably be the Six Invitational.
Chegar no topo uma vez, então assim foi um momento de muita emoção
The Invitational is, you know, the kind of the final checkpoint, the final test. It meant the world to me.
History will be made here because for the first time on home soil, a Brazilian team will win a world championship.
The only thing that matters is the 4 guys next to you, your coach, and the screen in front of you.
No one ever really just goes and wins. You have to go through the pain, the hardships.
Phase are exploding!
You have to go all in. That's it.
Quem perdeu foi nós tudo ali. E a gente que vai virar isso aqui agora.
Você tem que confiar muito no seu time.
Não vamos desistir, não vamos desistir.
And brought it all the way back!
Passa demais, porra!
When you truly want to become the best, you truly have to believe that you are, because you have to play it 100%.
Actually gets both of those kills. A lot of errors committed by DZ. M80 will capitalize, but not necessarily a round that they themselves earned.
Okay, well, they can't all be good executes.
That's true.
Had to give one up at some point. Yeah, 4v4 I thought was looking good. But a calamity of errors at the end there, starting, of course, with this one. And then the way Nave took the second gunfight against Diffuser, I say second, I'm counting the first team kill there. The way he took that second gunfight against Diffuser was also not ideal. He had the feet, he had the information, but he couldn't shoot the head because of where that Kiba was at. Probably needed to destroy that first, didn't have the intel advantage like he might have thought he did. Great sight play by Diffuser all around. Don't want to take that away from him because obviously there were some mistakes on the offensive half, but Diffuser really did need to step up and hit some great shots at the end to lock things in for M80 and make sure that they win that first round. So credit to Diffuser. Very strong play, not just in that round, but through the tournament so far. Diffuser has been quite good for M80.
Diffuser's had some sensational stats on this team. I mean, all of M80 have performed decently well, except Packer.
Yeah. Packer, unfortunately, the worst stats of any player not grouped at the Six Invitational. But as the desk highlighted before the game started, he does a lot to empower the rest of his teammates. He kind of takes the less favorable roles so that everybody else can just focus on killing. And everybody else on M80 has had good stats this event.
Kino still retains his role on the team as highest rated player, but Diffuser and Gunner are almost at exactly the same spot. Spoit is quite a ways down, and then it's a drastic fall off to find Packer. But I mean, Packer is the one IGLing this team. He is the one playing high value ops. He's very seldom involved in first bits of fighting, and the way that M80 plays and the tools that they have at their disposal, Packer's really only getting into gunfights out of necessity. And when you find players in his position, sometimes when you're the one tasked with getting kills, it's an impossible ask. It ends up being a 1v4, and maybe you get a single kill and you die, or maybe you get none. It also depends on the quality of your opponents.
Spoit once again playing top red. He's got so much util here. Goyo canisters and the Kivas. Gunner not far away.
These nitro cells keep getting shot by Dark Zero. That's something that we don't really stat track, but it's very impressive. You saw a couple get shot as well on that gym bedroom take, and now it happens yet again as Gunner had thrown it out and it gets shot towards the breach.
Hamba down below is looking to make this really tough to hold on to, but Gunner's not giving it up. Firebolts have both come out too, but they just won't force these players back. Dark Zero, you're going to have to take a gunfight.
That's exactly what Gunner will do, swinging on the breach as he looked for Nave. Nave 1 kill away from tying his tally on map number 1, and we still have at least one more round to go for Nave on this attack.
There's no way they let Gunner get out of that, right?
It seems
That's
like they
crazy.
might. M80 have such a strong defense right now that DZ are troubleshooting it, but not finding a ton of success. Spoit maybe over peaks on that. He dies. NJR takes out Packer as a grenade sails off in the distance. Dark Zero back to their winning ways, Jesse. It sure seems like it.
Yeah, this is gonna be a strong construction side hold. Hamba's still down below too. Don't forget about him. He's currently playing main stairs. Will come up for a late pinch during this execute. Kobe's got this ability to gather information as well. in the 3v5, you got to question, is somebody on M80 going to make some kind of a move? But these Goyo canisters, though, they maybe don't have to.
They will hold Kobe at bay for the remainder of this round, but Kino gets shot away at through the soft wall, out on the window. Kobe will wait for those flames to go, but M80 are still taking engagements. Fighting raw up on the stairs. It was 50-50 after 50-50. DZ on map number 1. Couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. This time around, they can hit whatever they want. A great answer back from DZ after dropping the previous round when they committed a multitude of mistakes. And who knows, if they hadn't had all of those errors, it could be a 5-0 for Dark Zero. They prevail on one of the 2 upstairs bomb sites, and M80 will immediately scoot over to the other site of CCTV and Cash. 4-1 the scoreline right now for DZ.
We might be able to see a 7-1 straight into a 7-1, Parker. Dark Zero are certainly making me a believer. This pickup right here, NJR catching Packer, being so ready for that flank. That was the one, we didn't catch it live, so I was so confused where Packer, of all players, was dying during that cash extension clear. But NJR read him like a book, was ready for that rotation. He started the last gym bedroom defense in the basement, but he just rotated up main stairs. He played very passive. This time around, tried to go for that flank up through secret and got punished hard by the longest standing player of Dark Zero. That was a really important catch. I'm glad we got to see it again on the replay, because if they don't get that kill, then after you take construction control, it's only a 5v4. That's very holdable for M80. Losing that second body of Packer was certainly unfortunate. So that's going to set up DZ in a dominating position. They will win this half. The question is by how much. A 5-1, as we saw just on the previous matchup, is very difficult to come back from, especially when you're on your opponent's pick and they're going to be more than ready for this game.
No timeout has been taken by either team, so we will have a slower second half, as I expect at least one of these squads to spend some time breaking things down with their coach. Just as we said on Skyscraper about the ineffectiveness of the roam for DZ, just holding control but getting run over time and time again, it's now M80's turn to get trampled underfoot as Dark Zero just is a little too strong at the moment. Bolo with the very first kill, down goes Spoit. DZ had some troubles getting early picks. Gunner somehow gets away because Bolo was entertained elsewhere. Pambazoo is quick on his feet. He finds one before Diffuser shuts him down. Kobe trades right back, and DZ sending in multiple players at once. This is them reading into M80's roam. If you recall, M80 got first blood first 3 rounds. DZ made some changes, and now DZ is in a much more comfortable position. They've got the last 2 first bloods.
I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. The trade's so perfect coming through from Dark Zero so far. They're playing very together. They're playing like a unit. Even when they lose gunfights, there's always a response. Nice late reinforce from Packer. Recognizing the push is going to come in through construction, and he's got to do something about that. This main breach still being closed and electrified is kind of awkward for Dark Zero. They need to find some way to destroy the electric claw that was placed on that CC wall. They've got plenty of hard breach, can openers, and exothermic charge to find that, but they don't have great util to find that claw, perfectly highlighted by our observers. More Kivas will make it even more difficult to enter the site, although the can opener does deal with the Kiva shortly after.
Good, how much more impossible this execute would be for Dark Zero if you had to blow them up with explosives, right? Bolo finds his second kill. They're all competing to take care of Kino. Kino, right now, no kills whatsoever. Will he go out the first half on the scoreboard? They line up for him, and no, the answer is he will not. 6 rounds in, Kino, the highest rated player on M80, held off of the score sheet. I would agree with Kenny. A masterclass indeed for DZ. Keep in mind, just as we saw on Skyscraper, it could have been a 6-0 first half. For M80 on Skyscraper, it could have been a 6-0 first half for DZ if it wasn't for that one round with a ton of mistakes. But still, a 5-1 half on Clubhouse is very good.
Usually when you see 2 teams from the same region going up against one another, you expect a grueling matchup, right? Where every map goes the distance because they're so familiar with each other's playstyles. But I think both teams knew that that was going to be a big part of this matchup heading into it. So both teams prepared to bring a lot of new stuff to this matchup. I think having the day off yesterday where nobody had to play any games was probably a big help for both of these squads to prepare their own map picks. And I mean, yeah, it's been a masterclass from Dark Zero on Clubhouse,
And thank you for bearing with us. We were just observing stream A, as you can see in the top center, but that will disappear as we reappear and bring ourselves right back round into this series. Now, if you've somehow forgotten where we were, map 2, and Shopify Rebellion has the big social predictions here, even though they lost bank, well, 7-8, but still, great effort has left ourselves as close as possible. Razah, will they be able to lock this off in a 2-0, or will we find ourselves hurtling to our third map?
I would love to see a third map. Surprises you, but I haven't casted too much Siege yet.
No, where have you been?
Again, as I said, I took the boats rather than the airplane.
Right.
Turns out that those are a bit slower in general, especially when you go in a canoe.
Well, is a canoe a boat?
I mean, I guess it counts as well.
Does it?
Okay, in let's say Dutch translation, yes.
Okay.
I don't know, like
How
what
wide?
the English.
Like it floats.
We would go ship or boat.
Okay.
Like boat smaller, ship bigger.
Right. But wait.
What would you call a canoe then?
Would you call a car a bus?
What?
A bus a car? Would you call a bus a car?
No, I don't think so. No, that's just a bus.
Canoes. Who defines them? I don't know. But what I do know, Oz Army still gone. Shopify Rebellion, they're removing the Blitz as the sort of lead in. Obviously, we saw them operate with them earlier, previous map, but the same as sort of breath. You know, it's not the biggest be-all and end-all. Razza Company, last time they were here, they sort of opted to ban the Blackbeard. They didn't run a huge amount. I think STK, yep, on a single round that they lost, ran a Blitz. There's something that was seen here by Shopify Rebellion that means that they don't want to play it. What they did bring quite a lot of, Shopify Rebellion, was a Blackbeard. So they have that on their options and their opportunities. Will we get a big taste of it here on the opening half, or do they think that it's been prepped and played for and want to move it away? For the context, it was on... Well, they had a shield on 5 of the 6 rounds. 4 of them were a Blackbeard.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. I would say that is quite a substantial amount of shield play to come through. I was actually going to highlight the math ban. I kind of do appreciate that. Of course, you know, basically makes tricking, if you really want to, a little bit more reliable, especially down when you're in the basement, for example. The Maverick would often be a solution to a problem if you didn't have the opportunity to take full control of that top floor, stop them from tricking, just Mav open the wall and get control. Not going to be happening here, so that makes operators like Cade and Bandit a little bit more powerful for this map.
We start in the command center, and will they be able to take command of the round? As I said before, the defense here of Razah wasn't quite operating to their usual heights and statistics. They were able to get themselves locked in, so it's the perfect half for Shopify Rebellion, who have decent attacks driven on this map, to do exactly this. Ambi, wasting no time at all, gets himself underneath IT to put this pressure on, and he's almost found a fight with a Kaid. Slipping by to the other side of it, getting himself further and further. I mean, this is just so succinct, so precise. He knows the rotations he wants to open up for his team and the routes that he wants to offer them.
There's a lot of verticality. You just saw that there. The TCSG has opened up a lot of different angles. The hatch has opened up as well, so it's definitely going to be keeping Ambi on his toes. But, you know, those go both ways. You can also watch back through them. Given the fact that they have been opened up, you can almost guarantee that someone's around. Skeleton key with pings, waiting for the yellow one to come through. Doesn't quite connect. Instantly falling off, knowing that he would be challenged otherwise. He doesn't want to take that risk. He wants a freebie. He doesn't want to try and go for a 50-50 at that point.
Putting a lot of pressure in and underneath, but he's dicing with death at the same time. What he's doing is opening opportunities for the others to approach. The Aid Claw is caught out. The flashes, so they can't trick against it as well. And the breach on IT will come together. Now, Perez with the Tuber out does slow it down, but it was quite late. So it's only going to delay slightly. The fight is the more important part he's wanting. Another flash through, so they can't, again, try and cook and stop and slow it on the other side of it. There's a bit of a spray towards another body. Nothing really connecting, but the Claw, did that activate in time?
no.
Oh, there we go. Small opening. It's not going to be walkable, though, and that's going to be 2 of the Selmas gone. Only 1 left, and they're realizing that now. There's no other Herp Breach available for them to try and open that up further, but they do have Garage and Raptors under control, so they can start putting up some extra horizontal pressure. Ambi, a little bit of damage gone towards Perez, not quite finding himself with the kill that he's looking for. Ambi, in this entire round so far, has just been basically missing by inches on getting the opportunity for the opening kill. There you have it. Finally, the skeleton key will find Perez. Shuts him down instantly afterwards.
30 seconds, though, and this is things were going to get a little bit dicey. They took a lot of time trying to get IT wall open. The smoke's going to buy some time here around top blue, and Fish and pulls themselves back, but it's the swing from the front and the back. 3 bodies charging in. Flastry does get 1 on the back. There needs to be something from the Nomad, but they couldn't quite get themselves angled onto the fight itself. And what a spin from Flastry. SDK able to get 1 of the others, offer some support here. It's suddenly traded out, but with 3 seconds, they need to try and just get this kid planted. There is the hold. There's the rotate from SDK.
No,
Crossfire, massively important. He's going for the divide, but they get it secured. A 1 versus 1. Surf pulls himself back, holding onto the box. The air jab knocks the player alive. With the shotgun, finds the end. What a way for us to open up here.
What a chaotic round that was as well. Like, missing that the player was just rotating in at that time live. Able to just sneak by, get the kill on 1, and then suddenly the other player disappeared and had no clue where he went. And the air jab as well, just slowing him down, but still finding that kill. A huge opener here for Razah. And they go towards the basement next. The Shopify Rebellion, they didn't really have a lot to work with. They couldn't open up IT wall. They were limited to the doorways, able to find themselves with kills. Eventually, somehow with the plant, but live, holding on for dear life, finding those 2 kills. And he's been crucial in the last map as well, finding 4 in one of them, for example, which is a difference maker between them winning or losing that map. So, a great start for him on his very first round of laps.
Well, seems like we've kept all the intensity from the last map, which entirely selfishly, I'm kind of happy for at this point. They're able to get themselves off towards that solid start, towards that solid position. Now, it is the most powerful site. It is the main one they're going to be operating around and building into at this point. But, you know, it's still do or die. Big rotates, trying to play against the game itself. There wasn't a lot of time left for mistakes from the side of Shopify Rebellion anyway.
It's a very heavy top floor hold for the fact that we're out in the basement. 3 people out on the 2nd floor, 2 on the 1st. I don't think anybody is playing inside the basement currently. Of course, they're playing close to the staircases. Oh, there you go. Baseto is actually out there. Of course, has the Cade Claw to work with. Going to be trying to trick it. Now, Canadian was just going to be putting down one of those charges. There you go. EMP comes out. Where's the second EMP? There it is. And that's going to be the opening in the wall. Massively done. Nothing you can do against it unless the Bennett was out there. But the Bennett was upstairs, roaming, making sure IT stayed close. So that might be the second target of the second exothermic if they want to actually go for a top floor clear.
Statistically, they are actually better on this basement site as well. They've won it 66% of the time, so 2 of 3 that they've defended it over the times that we've seen throughout this tournament so far. Or at least in recent history. We'll see if it's something that they can keep adding towards that statistic. There's the pressure to try and close it down. It's more of a flip of a coin from the attack here of Shopify Rebellion. Finding opportunities and finding loose players and threats at this point. But as you said, the tall hold is just being shot from above. Ambi needs to try and take this fight. Goes for the engagement. Draw the focus away. They want him to look down and up at the same time. But what is kind of going on here?
Just open shot. Why is there no one looking up at that point when you get the second set of Excaros out? Flashbang missing as well. He's going to be self-flashing himself as SDK is getting himself in a different position, opening up some verticality to work with. It's no longer an electric. Ambi's going to be clearing that one out. It's going to cost some time. There's a minute left on the clock. 4 people down in the basement. It's just SDK up on the top floor. That's just making life so much more difficult for the side of Shopify Rebellion. And look at Live as well. As he's finding himself on the very first floor, he has the opportunity to come into the side of the players that are still up top.
I mean, at this point, they're just trying to break their way in. They're trying to hope that they don't get caught by the vertical players, and they can put the pressure onto the site and plant in a sort of off-the-piece location. Basetto is down there, Live as the cover here, but he's got to watch the breach itself. There's the throw of the flashes. There's the drive on, but finally, a kill comes into their favor. Surf through the soft, and now they can see if they can get the kit secured. They're tucked right round the corner itself, and, well, there's the swing, there's the late cover, but 20 seconds, as I said before, it is a 3 versus 1, but time is not in their favor. SDK, if he wins this out, which he does, now Shopify Rebellion have to find a pocket of space that they can get the plant secured on. The destruction, there's still the cover of the soft at this point. He can't just drop confidently for the fight. They get themselves locked in here. They've got to try and make their way outside the station. The thing either side, but another do or die almost all the way there round. Good idea there from the side of Shopify Rebellion. They knew time was ticking away from them. They could not root out all of the players on the top floor. I mean, they were struggling with the hatch break as well. So take the site.
Life was just out there, though, unseen. They didn't know about him, and as soon, like, he had great trigger discipline, but as soon as he pulled that trigger, instantly Surf responds to it, finds the kill. I'm pretty sure they didn't know until he actually fired his gun, and that's when Surf responded, found that kill, and basically locked off the danger from above, giving him the opportunity to actually start flooding the site. Of course, the fuser got dropped momentarily there. They didn't quite get it down on the very first attempt, but it still went down in the end. And that does kind of portray the objective-based gameplay that Shopify Rebellion have been having so far throughout the tournament. Before the series today, they had 20 plants in 117 rounds. Now, of course, those aren't all on attack, but they have a pretty good planting rate. Less so on Razah. I believe that they had, at the start of today, 14 plants with 120 rounds. But, you know, you see it, Shopify Rebellion just trying to get that plant down.
I'm going to correct myself.
Okay.
A fun fact that I'm going to bring myself onto. Okay, for a second I thought we were on kitchen. I was like, why are they reinforcing that? We're not. I got my data wrong. In fact, it was 66% on this site. Was their defensive round win. Now, it's over a small pool of data, don't get me wrong. But they've actually been able to impress what was previously not a great ratio. Only 25, or have continued not a great ratio. Only 25% of the times they've been able to take their defense on the basement. So here, weirdly, they have a better chance at success to see if they can try and keep themselves 2-1 ahead. As I said before, though, Shopify Rebellion, if they can keep themselves driving through, as weird as it is to say on the counter, it's only attacked it once, but they won it. Shopify Rebellion this tournament, 100% win rate on attacking storage and control room.
This is why sample sizes are important.
Yeah.
Because it might just go down to 50 right after this one if Razah Company able to find. But you see the Jackal already inside IT. Gets a free opportunity but misses it on SDK. He's going to lean back in. The injury comes through. Finds the kill. Has the opportunity now to go for another spot. Look at that. Where is he at? Also the track. The Jackal, the Deimos Perez. You are nowhere safe. You're just going to be shot from any single given direction at any given time. He's holding on tight for now.
Well, the pressure comes down the back of Blue. There's the shield. Very well utilized by Canadian. And instantly, things are starting to fall apart here. Live is doing his best to offer something in response, but they've just been bullied off of their own site. And now at this point, how are they going to try and stop this, right? There's a spray through. Oh, in fact, I'm quoting these statistics. The site is down in the basement.
That's their basement.
This is back to their worst performing site.
Hatch opened up. They have no ID Basetto's down below, but this is like a one shot you get. The drone comes in, spots you. You just have to leave now. And as the Ram is opening up from above as well, the opportunity and the play space that these two players have on the defense is shrinking. The Deimos and the Jackal once more on live. They know exactly where he is. The Vendetta is trying to get some shots in from the vertical. going to be able to hit any of this right now, but as he leans in, you might just be able to just get a little bit of a tag. It won't be enough for a kill, but the damage will definitely be there as Basetto finds Rexon.
Yeah, there goes Rexon, locked out, but there's an instant trade back out. Canadians going for the plant, and I was confused what site we were on at first, I admit, but to be honest, kind of confused why they opted to come back here. It is not a good site for them in terms of holding it. That initial 25% on their defense has fallen even lower. Now, they will go back up towards Command Center, I assume here, but I'm going to double and triple check this time around. I'm too distracted by that you're back now.
I'm sorry to be a distracting factor.
You're just so distracting.
Yeah.
3 rounds. And they're locking in the plant time and time again.
I did like the approach that Shopify Rebellion went for last time. Because they realized that when they were attacking it in round 2, okay, there is some trouble up on the top floor. We don't know how to deal with it.
Yep.
What do? Deimos, Jekyll, Shield. A perfect combination to try and find any other person that's out on the roam, lock out their opportunities to fall back. They find 3 kills on the back of it. The last 2 players are locked on site. He used the ramp to open up everything from above. There is almost no play space anymore for them to be behind. You just can lock in the plant right afterwards. So well played, well executed by Shopify Rebellion there, as we are heading back to Command Center and servers. Unless they change it last second.
I mean, I'm
keeping my eye on it for you.
Yeah. I'm keeping. I'm allowed 1 of those every tournament. That's my 1.
Was that the one? Okay.
That's the 1. Again, I'm just even more curious about the going out and reinforcing the hatch to drop down. I get it leads into control, like, or you can put pressure onto like vending exo stairs, but they can just go around via kitchen and open the wall.
That way, we got a reinforcement left, and they were like, you know what?
I don't know. The wild approach towards that hold threw me massively. 2-1. We find ourselves back in the basement. A clash. They've got themselves, I don't know if they're hiding it. They 100% are at this point. Yep, tucked in. Hoping the reveal of live is going to be a bit of a shock. It was on the back of their timeout. But will they be able to bring timeout?
Oh,
what was that?
The second it ends, the second friendly fire gets activated. SDK, you are a double agent.
Were they shooting the drone? You could only assume a drone inside the planter.
No, what I think he did was shooting at the window, because then the glass breaks and you can hear if someone's on the other side of it.
But then he was shooting at like head level.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Maybe he was downstairs.
Well, I mean, all we can say is it wasn't supposed to happen.
Now, who do I give the entry kill to?
I don't know. But do you know what that makes way riskier? Is the choice to bring a clash, because now that's 1 less gun operator.
Yeah, it's 3v5
right?
technically.
It's a 3v5 with a moving wall. Canadian does go immediately. SDK, I mean, he's just killing everybody, including his own team this round. He's in a very dangerous position. It won't take a huge amount to force him out. They've obviously got the frag grenades to try and potentially bounce around the blinds as well, and you can see a bit of a rotate underneath. I don't know who that is. It might be Ambi, I think, because he's pistol sprinting his way around. It is. They're trying to get the pinch on this player. There's those grenades to force the motion I talked about. The Gooman will reveal, but SDK, he's escaped himself back towards the site, and Surf finds Perez.
I was going to say, they might have tried to go a little bit quick here. Shopify Rebellion, Canadian just instantly hopping in without the information, loses his life, basically removing the man count that you've had from second one without having to do anything. But Seto gets down through the wall by Surf. I doubt he even is aware of this, because he was just firing right on through. The clash with the slow peak, and it's just up to life now in a 1v4. Shopify Rebellion locked him off, but like, let's be honest, that round was already over in the very first second we end the prep phase, because you just lost your first member due to a team kill. And, of course, you get Canadian back right afterwards, but that was your tactical timeout as well. Followed by that instance.
I'm assuming that wasn't a strategy they cooked up.
Remember, like, let's team kill, and then they go quicker, and we can play into that? No, it's definitely not a strategy they cooked up. You never want to be 1 man down that early on without getting anything in return. I wish we had a replay for that one.
Yeah. They can maybe find one. Go through the game file. Accidents happen. If it was half a second earlier, it wouldn't have happened. It's probably why they were so sort of cavalier with shooting, was like, it's prep phase.
Yeah, but that's it, right?
Oops.
Like, there's no team damage anymore since, like, what is it now? 3 years, 4 years
Quite
since
a
we've
while.
removed that? Yeah, so I remember when it first got removed and everybody was like, are we sure this is a good idea? And then,
Great idea.
Great idea.
I
Now
think
you have this.
whatever makes... Obviously, siege games are long games.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for making prep phase as quick as possible. I think they should even make operators like double fast and reinforcements double speed.
It's going to be so funny. Reinforcements are already been
Again.
timed twice. Again, yeah,
Faster.
now to 4 seconds instead of 8. Used to be 16.
It changes the element of droning, which I can understand why they don't immediately go, but A, it would look very funny, and B, it would get us right back into the action. Anyway, enough about getting into the action. Hey, we're at the site I thought we were at before, and statistically the best site for this team outside of Command, but obviously less of a pool to play with. They've gone 2 of their 3 defenses on it. We'll see if they can try and add to the tally. Here, they have the stretch above, and I think some of the gameplay of this site works very well with how Razah like to get themselves set up. They like to be above, be aggressive, find these opportunities, and this is what that site is, right? A single soul player down below. Compare it to their hold to the basement point on lockers on bank. And then they get themselves ready to sort of fall and bleed and go where they need to go to offer some support. Pasetto screams his way across, but in the meantime, Canadian finds SDK, the bandit, is gone. No chance of tricking the walls. As the breaches on IT might start to come through, there's some Candela blinds, but actually nothing immediately.
Yeah, of course, probably I think that Canelo was just used to dislocate players that might have been around inside of electrical. Hudson's just waiting. He, of course, has the impact that he could use, or I have to say, one impact he can use to remove any of those vendor wires. And there you go. The breach is starting to come through. STK is dead. Can no longer trick. So as soon as they're removed, that wall is going to be opened up. And that's going to be upping the pressure a little bit near that storage area. Now, it will be slowed down by the tuber route, but that's not going to last forever. However, will be for a solid 40 seconds or so, which leaves about 30. So they do need to start thinking about a plan B.
Steady destruction of anything that'll slow them down here. They're probably not just going to try and hot-foot it into warehouse, but then you look at Grixers by the small box entrance. You've got them hanging around on the breach as well, and they're in a 5 versus 4. So if they just want to go for the let's throw in and go for the trade, they can. Now, IT is awkward to play on that verticality, so what they want to do, if they can get Pasetto done, they can move in. But there's the first strike. It goes away from them. Pre-fires the window itself. And here's that support I talked about from Razah. Instantly move in. The C4's shot out. But will the player be caught as well? Yes. There's the swing onto the second. And for the first time in forever, the body advantage is theirs before it is almost instantly lost. The cover of his own play. The swing on the door from Grixer gets one, but he's almost surrounded. Grixer drops around. The plant is not secured yet. They're still back and forth, but Live just needs that first element. They've left. They're rotating around. They're maybe going to the other side. There's the pinch, the reveal. Great motion from one-on-one to find it. There it is, Live! Huge, huge holding it down play. Making sure his back was always to a little bit of hard wall, bunkering in and refusing to move.
Live again, crucial. He was the reason why they won the very first round. He is the reason why they win their second round. He has been crucial in the previous map as well. Grixer, huge play here as well, by the way. Saw him instantly duck behind cover. Remember, swapping to your pistol, always faster than reloading as he gets that second kill out. And Live here playing time perfectly, forcing Canadian to go for the push. And that's a huge round for them. That's a huge momentum win as well. Because right after that tactical timeout, the team kill, the lost round instantly afterwards, they now managed to get something out. Clash. Lol. Okay, so they spotted it. I was like, is this I don't know where this is going from. Oh, trying to hide.
I see you.
Where is that drone?
Yeah, where's Surf's drone? Can we go to Surf?
What is Surf?
Can we?
How do you see it from here? Oh, that's Grixer. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was wondering where that drone is, but okay.
Well, now Clash can actually contribute. I like how the Clash waited for a bit. And maybe it was
maybe
like...
it's a mind game.
Maybe it's a mind game. Maybe it's a mind game. And then was like, nah, I'll reinforce. I'll help. But, hey, you know what's fun? I know maybe I'm just covering the fact that I was, mistaken about the site earlier. But I've also been proven right. That is still statistically their best defending site. Who would have thought it? It doesn't feel like an easier site to defend, and they played it half as much as they've sort of played Command Center and servers.
I mean, it comes down so often through just throw a bunch of utility through the window, see if you can get that plan down. And kind of did that again. It's just that the fight was so scrappy out there. Just the lean back in, finding the first kill onto the Zofia, who was shut down. Canadian, of course, finding that trade, holding on for dear life, getting a little bit of extra done. Eventually, they had the number advantage, just no longer the player that was out there. Hey, there is someone in that door. He cannot leave before they actually see him. A little bit of damage onto Flash Tree. Has to be careful now as he actually walks past that door because there's an opening that can look through.
Well, there's pressure coming in underneath them as well. They seem like they want to try and once again catch out the Rafters player, and Flastry is not going to lean into it too heavily. Moves himself back, feels the pressure on the wind. 3 drones have made their way towards the top of Rafters stairs now. I think we're getting a good idea of where Shopify Rebellion want to arrive from. They have IT Breach opened, and they still have time to play with here, and they've obviously put the pressure up blue before, and connector is open as well by the looks of it, so they've got that phantom pressure on the back end, but we have the gift of seeing everything, and a Clash is about to maybe have the same thing.
Going to be air jumps, of course, so Live is not going to be having the opportunity to start leaning into this fight. He's basically confined to that door. As soon as he steps out, it's going to get blasted away. Seto holding on the back stairs, and well, Flaster just wanted to walk by Live there on that Clash. He just gets executed as Ambi just leans back in, and now concussions are starting to come in. They're trying to force and put some pressure onto that Clash. A second one to be shut down. They're just ignoring the Clash. There's nothing they can really do in that moment in time as they swap around, get taken down. Smoke canisters and everything are being shot through, but Seto, the last man standing in a 1v4. A little bit of damage done by that smoke canister. Second tossed into the corner where both of them are, but it's not doing any damage.
Ooh. Well, I was going to say, Surf was in something that absolutely ruined his health, and they expected that smoke to stop the plant. The second one will do a lot of damage to Canadian, who's downed in it and killed. It takes a scratch to get rid of Surf. They've just got to play on contact. There's the first swing, though. I mean, good effort to try and pull that round back together, but a 4-2 attacking half here, and sort of has fallen the way I expected a little bit from the backing of the statistics. And now it's just that moment here for Shopify Rebellion to try and drive this one home, really.
Yeah, for sure. And we know Razah, their attacks aren't the best over this tournament so far, so there is the opportunity to try and utilize this into a forced map number 3. Again, there is no more group stage where you get points based on the maps you win. It is either you progress or you drop down. Maybe you can get eliminated tomorrow. For them, it doesn't matter. They've lost number 1. As long as they win this one, I mean, I mentioned it so many times. 0-0. It's just the best of 1 at that point. Just got to go for Lair. Let's see if you can take the victory there. Now, as we go back towards that top floor, it is now, of course, Shopify Rebellion that is going to be on that defense. They're not bringing out the Clash like their opponents have in the last round. He's been 6-picked out as well. For a second there, Blackbeard was going to make an appearance, but turned into a Twitch. Going to use that probably to remove those Oil canisters that will be placed down. Maybe even the Bandit batteries to, well, make tricking a little bit harder as those wires, of course, will disappear.
There is pretty much a heavy tradition of this lineup being across any we want to play that hard breach game. The Thatcher Thermite combo goes back to, I think, even before Siege was even thought up. It's just written.
It's the original bromance.
Written in the
Siege,
tomes. Yeah. And they're not going to mess around here. That, you know, get themselves the hard breach sides opened itself. If this goes away from them messing up the Thatcher catch on towards the Bandit with the pressure you can put from the Buck underneath.
Yeah, that's it. They need that pressure.
Yeah, exactly. That is the third part of this puzzle. You hope they can weigh it up. Obviously, there's other jobs to be done. You can see Live is just getting some clarifications inside the vault itself. Look at Canadian. He's the one underneath.
No, trick this.
With that C4, the trick is being attempted. The trick is perfected. I mean,
this is basics, right? Like, if there is a bandit, you need to find out if they're tricking first. A simple drone would have been able to tell you that, and in that case, Live could go underneath, open it up. Suddenly, it's no longer safe. Grixia can't play there anymore. That wall's open up, just like a snap of the fingers. Now they've lost an exothermic. That means one of the walls they want to open up usually is going to stay shut.
He doesn't know about Canadian.
Oh, no.
They droned it all out, and he still wins it! I mean, we also don't know how much Canadian knew about live there. I think that was 2 surprised boats passing in the night. And then one of them at the moment to get the kill, and that's the vertical now in their favor, and now they cannot trick it. There's the Buck in that position we talked about. They're trying to find the fight, and, well, there's the cover. They still get live. The wall will open. This one will just be an angle they can aim through, but that might be all that they need. It's down to how they want to try and approach rafters from that point onwards.
This might also work against them here by the fact that the Bandit, of course, can fire back through it. He can fight through that as well. And it's not passable, so they're going to have to go through doorways, and that forces you to run by the angle that's just been created. But it looks like a Raptors push as soon as he goes on the drone, just being swung out on. I wonder if they had any information out there. Unless the default cam was up, the answer is going to be no.
Well, there goes the smoke. Surf is buying them time because 30 seconds, as I said, this is only a watch. Pacetto cannot contribute anything directly to the end of this round. And, oh, what's he got in his pockets? The kit. There needs to be something that comes here from Flastry, from Perez. And, well, Perez is probably greatly and sorely missed this map. Usually the top performer was one of the ones on the previous map. Hasn't hit the kills yet. The pressure on IT, the swing round, but it's an easy one for Surf, the prone peak to get one. Perez is caught out in IT, and there's Rexon on the last. And at this point, I said we might be finding 3 OTs, but it would be hard-pressed with a timeout long since used here for Razah Company to reform against the Shopify Rebellion that's looking brilliant on this map.
And I said it before that this map started, right? Like, it was an 8-7 on the map of Razah, which means that it is very close fought. And then if we go towards the second, which is Shopify Rebellion, so that's just going to be a blowout, which right now it could be. It could be a 7-2, could be a 7-3. Then I am starting to get some dark feelings for Lair here for the side of Razah Company. And I have to definitely start firing up on those cylinders. You mentioned it, Perez, yet to find a kill. He was the top performer on the team in that last map. He's been the top performer of the team over the entire tournament so far. Missing a player as him is definitely going to be hurting your chances. In the meantime, you have Ambi again running on well over a 2 KD, nearing a 3. Playing with the castle right now. And it seems like the Montaigne is being brought out by the side of Razah. That could be a band-aid to an issue, which is just trying to force them out of positions now.
Sky, our wonderful observer, has helped me solve the mystery as to how they saw the clash as well, by the way. Okay, I know we were all on the edge of our seats wondering how they knew. They pretty much traded their drone for the intel. So Surf drove their drone in, and it got shot as they were looking at the clash, which is also where we couldn't spectate it, but it's how they found out and why Surf was taunting them in that situation. Thank you, Sky. Thank you. Now, 5-2. How long will Razah be able to hold on here? Because, you know, to be honest, even if they start tying a couple of rounds together, it really feels like everything has gone in towards Shopify Rebellion's favor. Remember the 2 rounds that Razah won. One of them was a live 1 versus 2. One of them was a live 1 versus 2. I think even a 1 versus 3. Exactly. It is just not the most powerful performance here, I think is the kindest way of putting it. And they're probably also expecting themselves to be on the 3rd map soon. Live gets it open outside. Otherwise, you know, the usual sort of passion. We talked about it. After every single round, there was so much hype, so much energy from Razah. Shopify Rebellion weren't quite in the same position. It is just entirely flipped.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And of course, we do have... Oh, Siri, very close to a player here. Goes for the flashbang. Player moved out. Is prone right next to the electronic box right there. But there's going to be some cover. Finds the first. Either way, Ambi shut down. Flastry knowing about the second one up on that top floor is just going to hold the angle for now. Canadian will find Perez, though, still going to be killless throughout this game. As the rotations are starting to come through, instead of tearing down that barricade, a rotation was created for him.
I mean, it's just been the roughest possible day here at the office. I'm not entirely sure if there has been a player throughout this tournament that's had... No, I think there has been a player that's had a kill this game. I think it was...
Yes.
Was it Packer, potentially? Either way, at this point, Perez might be joining that club that you don't really want to be a member of. Canadian. He's being flashed out. He's still able to muscle memory his way out the door whilst full flashed. And, well, the castle's going to mean that he's got to go for a hop. He's fading so much time because there's 40 seconds left. They need to put the pressure onto EXO, which they are. The shield of Monty and Basetto is not too far away from the door itself. There's still 2 people ready and waiting. The wall is reinforced as well. And Surf, is he rolling around underneath, gets the drop on towards it. Basetto's going to try and stick it. It just takes a second to swing in. There's the cover. There's the retake. There's the cover. And there's a plant statistic, but a triple kill for Grixer.
I was just looking at my
yeah. It was like a split second of Grixer's cam. Okay. I'm sure socials will turn into a GIF.
I mean, the push was too universal here. We've seen the same thing happen when we were back on Bank when they were attacking lockers. They were coming in from just a single angle. There was no other pressures coming down. Yes, they had some verticality this time, but there was no cover. There was no drones there to stop any of those flankers to come through. And that forces us to be on a 2-6 point right now. Shopify Rebellion really just hammering back hard. Showing Razah Company that it's not just that one map that matters. Their mental hasn't been choked by it. The teabag has not done the damage yet that it might have done otherwise. Going back all the way to round number 3 of this entire series. 2-6. That's a tall ask here for Razah Company. 4 rounds they need to find in a row to push us back towards an overtime situation where they have the opportunity to lock this off with a 2-0. Otherwise, map number 3 is nigh, and it is going to be Lair.
Yeah, said it before. At least they've sort of kept themselves off of being 0-7'd, but you know, at what point mentally
does that still matter?
Yeah, but at what point mentally do you start preparing for the next game?
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, this isn't the sort of do or die game as of this moment in time, but it's no more a points game. It's a matter of preparing for either lower bracket run or potentially confirming yourself on the main stage later on today.
Yep. Now, I like the Cade class we just saw put down by Rexon. However, because of the fact that the Thatcher is on the board, it's not really going to do that much. Single EMP is going to be removing them to both, and then the wall will just open up. No one there to try and trick. I believe Surf might actually get himself into a bit of position. However, Live is down below. He's going to be using his impact to stop anybody from trying to trick. That's too late. That's too late. Did they place it down? Yes, they did. That's 1 extra thermic gone. 2 gone, actually. They've used the other one already on Warehouse. They're not opening up IT. That stays shut.
I mean,
now the verticality is going to be out there. You're not going to be able to jump into that window to try and go for a plant. So you got to go for a plan B. You got to just improvise on the spot right now, Razah.
It's that one moment is the surmising of this entire map.
No, I agree.
They had everything in their arsenal to be able to stop that happening. They know it's going to be happening. It's been an active part of this. And yet, even amongst the chaos of it all, they just could not get it connected here. It's been a rough run. And a rub for Razah. Shopify Rebellion. More ready and waiting. Putting the bullets across, and Surf has suffered. And SDK, big moves round into the back, has the track. There goes Live, though. First body gone. There's Ambi getting flastery. Basetto's down as well. I mean, and it's not impossible, but you feel like it might be a swing round. SDK takes a lot of damage. Does get a kill on the back of it. 2 versus 4, but think about where the kit is. Think about what they have control of. Think about what they need to get control of. Sure, you're tracking this player. Perez still cannot get a connection to the kill game. Will this be the first led in by the Deimos track, feeding all this intel towards Perez? And they're just sitting, watching, waiting, and letting it tick away because they know they don't have the kit. Deimos is deep, concerned about making his own moves inside. Both of them are quite hurt, but to be fair, so are 3 of 4 of the Shopify Rebellion players. It is all up to Perez of 4K. He has his first, doesn't have the second. And we hurtled through map 2. Eyes forward to map 3.
It seemed like a bit of the basics were missing in this map. Again, you mentioned it had everything available. They failed to open up the crucial parts. And what does that happen then? Verticality is in control of the defenders. You can no longer jump into the window, which is usually plan A for that specific site. And a 7-2 victory on this second map for Shopify Rebellion. It's definitely going to be a momentum turner here before we head towards map number 3.
Map number 3 is obviously Lair, but before we do that, well, we got to have a quick break. See you soon.
Keep an eye out for contact.
Available now.
Ouais, choc-les. Choc-les. Ouais, choc-les. 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 Ouais, voilà ce qu'ils me disent. Les entends parler et ils maîtrisent. J'arrête que pour rafler la mise. Petit pas sur la piste. Et le succès, je l'ai pisté. Disent que la place du premier. Je fais monter la côté. Sur moi, tu mises gros. Tu connais déjà l'équipe. Ça criera au complot. Je prends le double, on est quitté. Je fais la magie des chiffres. La somme je la triple, la concurrence la dribble. Et le stade est en délire, ça fait choquer. J'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché. Gauche, droite, esquive rageux. Coach m'a rajouté du temps de jeu. Dans l'action, ouais je me sens en feu. Je suis on fire, je fais la différence au compteur. Money time, ça shoot sur le buzzer. Je suis on fire, choqué. J'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché. Choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer. Toute la foule elle est choquée. J'espère que t'es accroché.
Players' feedback is everywhere on Siege, from reports, survey analysis, meetings, playtests, workshop studies, watching streams and videos, designing comms, reading thousands of comments a week, answering DMs. It's insane. So players do have a fancy seat at the table, no question. They just have different opinions. Sometimes it's a little puzzling, but that's all good. The Siege ID critical player base is a driving force.
I'm listening and we're all taking in so much of your positives and your concerns and trying to make the game just a better place for everyone.
You know, I'm a player myself, so I also have my own opinions, but I also think it's nice to have a good, well-rounded opinion of the sentiments that come out of the community, and it really helps me better my feedback. So when I'm in play sessions for balancing or new operators, I can not only give my own personal feedback, but try my best to bring the community into that play session.
These players are the best players basically in the game right now.
So having their feedback introduced into our decision making, I think it's really crucial to have. So it's definitely why this workshop is so important.
The workshop is important for me because I like to see kind of the future that the devs want to bring the game to and how we can help bring that into a good space for everyone.
I love the workshops because I think it gives you a real opportunity to see why things are being done, kind of what the thought process was, the steps behind things. I just love seeing other people have passion for the same game.
We play the game 24/7, practice and understand what can be a little bit too strong or maybe a little bit too weak, so being able to help is a massive thing.
I got to give it to these guys. The dev team, you guys have really been hitting it, man. The new operators they bring in that just find different ways to change the game, but not break the game.
All of it is so obviously done with so much love and so much sort of apparent drive of yeah, we can do the coolest thing, we can do the best thing.
I love the operators you put out, the maps you put out, and I know how much work goes into that.
And I think they've been doing an amazing job, especially over these last few years. The updates have been amazing. The different balancing changes have been amazing.
Team Rainbow. Carries Legion. Listen up. Hereford Base is now under our control. But we're not giving it up without a fight. And do not let anyone stand in your way. Every action you take will be the difference between victory and defeat.
Well, what a way for them to bounce back into that series all the way on the first. And to be honest, the second map was about 3 rounds worth of the first game. It was quick, it was violent, and it was fully a Shopify Rebellion map.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we mentioned it as well, Razah basically falling in some of the mistakes that we've seen in just a couple of the rounds on Bank, where they didn't really use their full arsenal to the utmost efficiency, losing out of opportunities, losing out of rounds as a result. Basically, just Live, who bought them 2 rounds, that's all they had. Previous map, he got themselves 2 or 3 rounds as well, but at that point you had Perez, for example, that was really able to show up big as well. Just a single kill from him as the very final or penultimate kill off that map. So we really need to see more from him in this next match.
Well, what will be the other sort of turn of the half? There's actually a little fun tidbit I have. A little fun tidbit from being outside, refreshing my water, walking nearby teams. You don't hover, you don't listen in. You obviously...
You don't?
No. Okay. I don't. Because you want the players get inside the circle. But there was a quote that I'm going to just...
join their huddles.
It was a... Everybody.
Come on, guys.
I think at that point, if you did that, you'd A, probably get in trouble with the refs, but B, maybe also with the teams having biases. No. And one of the things that you overhear from the side of Shopify Rebellion's speech was all the other conversations, but they are very confident in their ability here on Lair. In fact, they would go as far to say that they are the best Lair team at this tournament. And this is obviously from a team talk. So this is, trying to big each other up, trying to get it. You say you're the best team in the world. Every time you set up, everyone wouldn't be here if they didn't believe they were or could be the best team in the world. But I love that drive of confidence of saying, look, they've got nothing on us on this map. This is our map.
I mean, they've won it twice. They've won it 7-1 against Secret and 7-5 against Cyclops. So, they've done the job. They've done the work. They've shown that they are a good team on Lair. And this is why I said, if Razah Company wants to have an opportunity of winning this map, of winning this series, they need to get Bank. Because I think that the other 2 maps were favored for Shopify Rebellion. Labs, well, that has proven to be very favored for Shopify Rebellion. It's 7-2. It's kind of a blowout. Not really what you want to see. But we are headed towards that map number 3 regardless. It is 0-0. It's the best of 1 in this matter in time. Whoever wins this is taking on VP.
Well, I just had a very quick look to get the statistical sort of backing. Obviously, as you said, we've seen Lair twice from the side of Shopify. We've seen it once, and it was the Falcons game that ended in, I'm not going to say calamity because they still went on to win the whole series, but they're in a 2 versus 1 to push themselves on towards OT, and then they both just individually sort of peaked at the moment. In terms of how successful they are on this map, from that data, it was a 50% defensive win rate coming through from Razah, a 33% attack, in that they could only win their attacks on the lab support, the basement site itself. In the meantime, from the 2 maps, the slightly wider data pool, a 75% attack win rate here, with at least 2 sites being 100%, including Master Office R6.
Yeah.
In fact, Shopify Rebellion have not lost it on either attack or defense. Over 7 attempts and swings around at that map.
It's a lot more green on their stat sheet.
Oh, it's very
just
green.
It. And it's not 100% with just a single round play. No, it's 100% for some of them, like 7 rounds played. So, you know, they're definitely a good team here on Lair. And that's going to be making this even more hard for Razah. Like, they let this go through. They were content on having this as a potential decider. Usually they try and get Consulate as a decider. They weren't permitted to do that this time around. So we're headed towards Lair instead. Any moment now. And at that point, we will get 7 to 15 rounds to decide which of these two teams will move on to a second game today, and which of these two teams is facing elimination tomorrow. Potential elimination.
Well, I mean, that's it, right? You said it before, the maps bring them into favor, but there's always the opportunity to get your preparation now. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm just going to say belief for now. Razah will be starting on their defense, so they do have at least their preferred side on this. They're a great defending team, but we need to see greater growth from where they're at before. It was Anstey, but it was a very different environment. When they lost against Falcons, they were playing for first place across the group. Here, they're playing to keep themselves out of the lower bracket. Both were important games in their own regards, but this has much more of a do or maybe die feel about it, which means that maybe those swings, those moments where they over-aggressed and found themselves getting too close to the fire, they won't happen because they'll second-guess themselves a little bit. Still, heavy preference here for Shopify Rebellion, and after the last map, I don't really blame it.
Now, the last map was definitely more of a statement piece to come through as we were starting off with these bans. Montaigne instantly removed. And that might be because of the fact, they started to bring it out a little bit. Not that it was super successful on the side of Razah Company, but just not wanting to deal with it right now. So, understandable as we head in. Again, they feel like they are the best team in this tournament on this map. So what do you want to make sure? There's no crutches for the enemy team to fall back onto, which might make your life a little bit more difficult.
Maverick gone from the side here of Razah. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if that's the best move. It's not got as many sort of massively important hard walls. If you're looking at the top floor, yes. But at the same time, if there was a team between these two, I would point at and say they were struggling with hard breach and probably need as much help as possible. It was that, right? There was juggling, there was responses, there was bandit tricking. And you can always still shut down bandit tricking if you're looking at the R6 room site. You can get underneath and put pressure. If you're looking down on the sort of basement and the hatch controls, well, without Kaid, it's going to be more awkward, but still, I don't know. Instantly, there's the bandit here from the side of Basetto. Will we get a bit of a demonstration on how to deal with that here from Shopify Rebellion?
I mean, this is exactly what we saw in the last map. Whenever it was Shopify Rebellion opening up a wall and there was a bandit on the board, they made sure to basically deny him the opportunity to go for a bandit trick. That is something that Razah Company did not do when Rebellion was bringing themselves a bandit. So that is that big point. You mentioned it, the Maverick would have probably been more beneficial for Razah Company to have in pocket. But it is removed nonetheless.
It just gives you an option.
It just gives you an extra option. I mean, there's no way you can counter that except for impact nades or a C4 or just shooting him in the face if you find him in time.
One of the other things from casting the Razah game the other day is when they were on their attack, they would try and sort of get themselves pushed and proposed quite late, and it was great responses from Falcons to make sure that they had multiple options covered. Players just stuck out the smoke canisters, which turned into a bit of a problem for both these teams, actually, I think, on Bang. Those who have more of that confidence currently, probably Shopify Rebellion, but you've both had the same amount of breaks since we've traded maps before. Ambi.
Push here.
Yeah, immediately on the hunt underneath for STK. If you're going for operations control, you need to make sure you've got it, because otherwise, well, they're going to get caught out. They still have time to rotate their way up the main stairs here. They're going to get out of there towards the top of the rocket.
Let's find out, because if you look at the operator selection here from the side of Rebellion, you see the Ying, you see the Blitz, you see the Glass. That just kind of tells you, hey, there's going to be at least some pace to this push. You want to make sure there's no one down below on operations. Give yourself the opportunity to start taking that by storm. Maybe even use some of the verticality yourself as Ambi's starting to push up near the rocket stairs, opening up and making sure that those bandit wires, barbed wires, are going to be removed, giving himself the opportunity to move in later in the round.
Oh, the Glass creeping their way around, gets rid of the utility on the door itself. Sounds like, yeah, There's still just another one tossed in, another bit of response. But it's a trade out utility to someone who just sort of crawl peek, right? There's some smokes, there's some coverage, but all of this utility, there hasn't been an immediate on the back of it. There's the motion. Rexon moves in towards the core of the smoke, but there's nobody that's trying to say hello to him. In fact, they've realized, look, this pressure's coming in. They know they're taking, they're going to move away from it. The fight, STK suffers quite a lot here, gets himself rotated out, dropped, and deep in the basement as well. It was Canadian watching, chasing on the hatch. The blinds come through. They know it's a 5 versus 4 on the site if they can make a move. So look at Rexon all the way up to the top of the stairs. Here comes the shield, the push, the break, and the blinding light. The coverage does a lot of damage towards Live, but if that gets in the foot of the blitz, they're going to be slowed down a bit. It's very narrow lines. SDK finally finds the end of this first fight and then disappears once again. And now look, it's pulled the players out, shoots towards the top of the shield, but Canadian, he's stuck, he's slowed, he's sort of stemmed from being able to go either way. 50 seconds, and how are they going to try and get themselves out of this sticky situation?
The thing is, STK is not really a threat anymore. He doesn't have a nitro cell. He doesn't have the ability to go vertical. So you kind of can just let him go back towards the side. But you can start putting pressure on as well with the equal man count here. Of course, you lost Ambi early on. That's a shame. But you do still have the opportunity to take an even fight onto the actual site now. Banditry coming through from Basetto. It's going to stop the first one from opening up. The second one will create an opening to R6 though.
20 seconds, and will he just scream into the room? Yes! Gets the knockdown onto one, but the cover is there from the man behind the desk, but it buys them a route in, and they make sure that they flood behind the highway. There's the tuck plant. Now, this can be denied potentially from spraying up through the bottom, but I think they've got the watch. There's the bit of emotion, a bit of a change of pace here. The big class gets one. It's all being watched from underneath. Spraying up. I said it was a possibility. And it was one that gets confirmed there, but...
Well, I was wrong calling STK no threat no more, because he was the one that was starting putting up that pressure from below. That was, of course, the only way that he would still be able to get that impact. They knew exactly where he was going to plant. They were able to shut it down. And that's because they weren't able to clear out the rest of that top floor. Otherwise, you would have had free opportunity to go wherever you wanted. And Razah, they will take that very first round home. Now, headed back towards labs. Headed back towards that basement site. Yeah, you know, it is a difficult site to hold, I'd say.
This is, obviously, you know, I mentioned it before. It was an 100%. That's now changed. That's how data works. But it's still a pretty good attempt round at the second site. And I think it's the first one that has ended due to technically time between all of the ones we've had between these two teams so far. So they know that it's far from locked in, far from comfortable here. Razah, they love to set themselves up aggressively. SDK explored the map before, and actually it might be Perez who gets off with a kill. Obviously, he only found a kill on the last round of the last map, and he was a big factor in the first one. So I'm sure Razah are very grateful he's reappeared.
Also, Ambi being shut down at the very first opportunity is going to be a great take to get. Ambi has been playing a phenomenal tournament so far. Basically only had a single game where he didn't quite hit the highs he normally would. And, you know, if you find him and if you can start finding him consistently, that's when you have a good opportunity of taking Lair away from Shopify Rebellion and thus taking the upper bracket run away from Shopify Rebellion. There you have it again. Ambi found. Tried to go for the very first swing. SDK finds himself a second kill. Last time he ended the round with some vertical pressure. This time he stops Ambry from having any impact whatsoever. Now Canadian in a bit of a fight with SDK, but he manages to escape as the magazine runs low. And thus we're finding ourselves in a 5v4 situation in favor of Razah. The first call's coming out, but there's no one there to follow up on it. It might have been a little bit too late. And that gives them the opportunity to reset now on the side of Razah Company. Of course, we need to go towards the basement. There's a lot of ground that needs to be covered if you want to go for a top-down approach. So we're probably going to waste another minute or so before there's even going to be any attention whatsoever towards that basement site.
Well, there's a freebie onto Rexon, and there's almost a trade back. STK can drop out and get out of there. He's still not out of the woods yet. But again, you know, as you said, think about where the site is. Think about what we're doing. And SDK has just been able to get the other one, hunting these loose players. They could not be happier, thriving with the Jackal and the Dockerby off the board. Do finally find the trade out, but precious utility lost. They get the hatch open. They can't dedicate themselves towards trying to continually drive further and further on. Now, what do you do from the side here of, I guess, both of them? Razah don't want to hand up the hold that they have above. They've still got some soft they can play with. They can still try and even rotate further aggressively. They're waiting for Shopify Rebellion to do what they do, which is often a drive towards the site. In fact, no. They do opt to move away. Live now, the sole contender on the second story. Perez went to reassess himself.
Hatch, though. Start putting pressure down from this hatch, and if the drone doesn't spot out that Live is out there, he could be having a huge moment. The drop is starting to come through. Grixer misses the opportunity on getting the very first kill. A shotgun took him down low. Flashtree taking a little bit of damage. The second person leans into the fight. It's only up to Canadian running through the fire, and Bassetto's bullets as Razah find themselves with a second round on the board. The perfect start. The one that they're looking for, because they also know as soon as they're going over towards the attack, life is going to be so much more difficult in this map. So the fact that they start off with 2 and we're having a timeout already says a lot. Shopify Rebellion, not happy with how things are currently going. Seth seems pretty calm though. He's talking. He doesn't make any like wild gestures. It might just be guys, get it together. You know, like we know we are better. We know we are the best or one of the best teams on this map. Let's just play our game. Communicate.
My conspiracy theory is that all of this jazz is played by Milos.
Yeah, it's played live. He's just sitting in a special room and it's like, time out, Milos, go. And he starts playing. Playing all the instruments himself as well.
He's so talented.
So talented.
So talented. All the like 6 sax licks you hear before we go into maps, so talented. All Milos.
Just using a loop pedal, you know? It's like, doing already.
Yeah, he's playing this all live. That's where he is, if you're wondering at home. 2 rounds, and I mean, like, is it an early timeout? What's the conversation? What's the win condition? At this point, as I said, Razah are playing above expectations from the very small data pool that I'm pulling from for SI 2025.
Yeah.
But they seem so much more in control of the space. Falcons were pushing them around the map. They kept on being caught out on their roams and their rotations. Here, Shopify Rebellion, their intel game seems to be a little bit lacking.
I mean, they have the intel. It's just that they lost the initial gunfight. MB Twice is trying to find it very first, gets himself removed off the board by it. And at that point, kind of just gunning with a man down. There's still a lot of work that you need to do. He was playing like an intel operator on the very second round as well, playing Jackal. So, you know, his entire job was, hey, let's remove these Romans. Let's give ourselves some extra time. He's not been able to do that. So, onto the Ash he goes now. You can also see the Blitz coming out from Canadian again. We see the sense coming through from Grixer. Kind of tells you, okay, we're, again, looking to go for an execute. This is not going to be an elimination game that they're hoping to go for. They want to get these down. They want to get those 45 seconds planting. And maybe that's exactly what Super said. Hey, let's start playing the actual diffuser. Let's play the objective. We don't need to take more than we have to get that plan down.
I'm wondering what this directive was. They cut themselves immediately on towards operation, moving in the back of the Grimbees. They, for a second, and then for a second, opted back into the maneuver, but they're getting rid of at least the rotation possibilities, but it's mainly for the angle, right? It's a soft wall. You just want to make sure that they can't put that direct pressure from behind the table itself and force them further and further out. The reveal that they're watching. Ooh, and Surf firing a second too early, and they were like, nope, this is getting...
Flasher is like, no, I'm turning around. I'm going back
it's like
downstairs,
that 8 Simpsons gif. He's gone.
Like, I was going to help, but, you know, it's getting a little bit too hot for me now. I'm out. And he's playing around in the bathroom hallway now, trying to hold on for his life. Smoke canisters being used quite early on, but they're just trying to keep Shopify Rebellion out of the map. Force and waste as much time as possible. Again, they need to go down a floor. They're not attacking that top floor. They're attacking the ground floor, the first floor. So they need to start pushing towards that. As Flasher taking a little bit of damage here, trying to fall back. Canadian all alone, trying to go for a bit of a hunt. Gets the flash, gets the kill as well into live. No one there to follow up.
No, there was the flirt with the idea. There was someone trying to make their way through R6 room, and I think as soon as the kill came, they went, nope, I am not seeing what happens next. Here's the aggressive fight back, though. Perez finds Canadian, but look, they're dropping back into the site. They got that kill. They instantly moved their way away. The kit is cold. It can be recollected, but this is a very different Razah who previously would have kept themselves holding out. just responding and responding. They have been well read on both an education that was taught to them by Falcons, just watching Shopify Rebellion's games on this map before. SDK, he's playing a very dangerous game. He will have to sprint past this window if he wants to find his route home, but instead he goes back the other way. He's not in a position to be shut down here. 30 seconds, he's drawn some attention, and there's still control of green needs to be got. The breach itself needs to be got. There's nobody that's playing around storage as well. What does Shopify Rebellion really have here other than just a hatch and sending it?
Well, they need to get that top floor control, but they've not been able to establish that as Flashtree takes down Grixer. And really, the round is starting to look over now. It's, of course, Rexin that does lean back into the fight slightly. Ambi dropping through the hatch, but he's all alone now in a 1v2 mid-reload. Caught up by Perez. His time was starting to tick down. You mentioned it. They were kind of lacking the basics here. They lost the very initial, push over the top. They got the first kill gone. Canadian was traded out right afterwards. The kit went cold. They weren't sure if there was still a player up top, so they were wasting quite a lot of time on that, which meant that they didn't quite have the time to start focusing onto the side, opening up the breach, as you mentioned, or even better, opening up above the breach so he could stop any trickery from going on below it. So Razah company doing well. Right after the tactical timeout as well, getting quite a convincing round on the board. That is going to be, well, basically stopping the motivation that might have been coming in from that tactical timeout from Shopify Rebellion.
There's a point that's sort of proven in how this is opened is how important Perez is towards the roster. And he's not the only one that's popping off. Actually, statistically, STK is currently in line to have his best game, his best series that he's had at all.
And don't forget Live's clutches. Like, he's been absolutely crucial on the first map. Also, of course, the 2 rounds they won on the previous one.
Sure, but SDK is usually, he's a -8 for the whole series, and he's come into this now 4-1, feeling his position, feeling his awareness, and whatever game he's decided to step into here is something that he's never really played or got himself locked into in the same manner.
Just looking out, seeing if anybody's coming out from the tunnels. Could be the case. Debating whether or not, should I close it again? No, I'm just going to continue watching. He does have a laser on his gun, though, so it has to be careful where he puts that. I don't think anybody's actually coming out there, though, so there's no real point. I was going for a little trip outside. No one there.
Okay, this is what he's playing a game he doesn't usually play. That was
there was no one there, but,
it was quite adventurous.
Yeah. Let me just explore these tunnels a bit more. I haven't seen him that much in the past couple of days, so... But doesn't find anything, doesn't get found in a response as well. Instead, the pressure's really going over the top floor. Grenades coming in, fire coming in. They're really trying to get control of operation of the opposite side of the map as well on the same time. And, well, look at that. Rexin basically looking to get himself close toward the side. He has operation, took out the mirror window as well. No, there's no one behind it because of the drone.
And this is it, all right? Obviously, this wall was being tricked and bantered before. They ended up having to just throw themselves in and try and get swung around the other side of it. You don't want to entirely open it unless you're sort of have the lockdown from underneath, but underneath is currently just Razah players. Rexin slips his way on by, but they just spray through at head height. Ambi finds SDK, finds the player underneath, and that does give them a little bit to work with, but without the ace. What do they have here to cleanly get through? Canadian has the pocket hard breaches, so they can try and get some of the angles opened up, but now the game of juggling, the game of deploying utility, much trickier. There's a bounce back. Great combo of utility.
He's safe, though.
Yeah, Passetto's not going to get entirely removed. The smoke canister forces a bit of motion. There is somebody else still below being pinged as well. They know they have to operate, but Live, he's playing this at arm's length. It's less than a minute to decide where to go. Flashtree gets Canadian.
Don't forget, there's also still that shield on the play here. Serve is not going to be a fully functional gun, but he does get saved by Grixer because Flashtree was about to try and take him down. Managed to get the melee, not managed to follow up with a shotgun shot. So we're finding ourselves in a 3-on-3. 30 seconds left, however. They're close towards the side. They just need to push through and try and get this plan down or try and eliminate all players.
A crossfire and a butcher shop here with Razah enjoying every slice that they can take out of the approach. Surf just has to take an unofficial timeout at this point. No health. He's up against goo mines. He's up against 3 guns. It is falling apart for Shopify Rebellion at this point. 4 rounds in a row for Razah Company. And yeah, they're on their defense. They're on a half. But at this point, they need to try and find something a bit meteoric to impact this game before they find just on the wrong side.
In the meantime, Perez is trash talking a little bit in the chat. You don't see it because of the player counts, but he's saving KD. Basically, how boring. That's what he's coming down back with. I mean, Razah Company is having a great game so far. 4 rounds on the defense. They know their attacks aren't the strongest. Every single one that they manage to get here on the defense is going to make their life easier and easier as they go on. Of course, Siege is a game of 2 halves. Them leading with a 4-0 right now doesn't mean that this game is over. But if you then start looking into how those rounds have been going so far, it just is that things aren't quite connecting. They're not clicking with Shopify Rebellion. They're losing the unfortunate very first fights on operators that are crucial for the actual plan that they're looking to execute. Whether it's to eliminate the roamers on top and you lose the Jekyll, or whether it is to try and straight cut through the side and you lose your Heart Breach. It's just an unfortunate way on how these rounds are developing for Shopify Rebellion. But they still have 2 more opportunities to try and get themselves at least something on the board. Get yourself a little bit of a buffer in case you mess up onto the defense in one of these rounds, or in case that you just get overwhelmed and don't know what to quite do about it. The Razah Company, they are fighting. They're getting into this. They're starting to type in the all chat as well, which means that they're definitely feeling great.
It's sort of the reminder, obviously, that what a performance back in for Perez. He was, 1-9 on the previous map. Now he's 5-1.
Trying to get back on positive, you know?
Screaming towards it, but he has been an outstanding player for Razah throughout this tournament, and looking to keep that trend continuing here. Now, what does the unofficial conversation have behind it at this point? It's sort of the situational awareness. It's keeping an eye on where Razah's playing. STK, he's forced further and further down, but he doesn't want to entirely give up the ground just yet. Bait as much utility and time, and if he can get a drone out of it, he'll be very happy. He's expecting the fight. And it's all concrete here. They had the cover of support player and the late reinforcement too on towards the Lockers side.
Yeah, they're just playing this a little bit wide at the start, and now they're slowly starting to fall back towards the actual labs. See that the boogie is opening up above. Is going to be basically limiting some of the rotations that can actually make down on that basement site. So, slowly but steadily, Shopify Rebellion is taking control of this map. However, still 1 or 2 roamers about on that very first floor. And the question then is there drones there that tell you the story, the full story that people are around? Now, never mind. Bassetto's just rotated down. I think he got spotted out. He's going to be using it. Live gets taken down from above as well. So the opening is there for Shopify Rebellion to try and get the first round on the board.
It's only the second time they've been able to get that opening kill, and, well, there's a response. Grixer gone. Now as the flashes come through, the pressure, Perez almost gets caught out, but it's SDK that finds Surf amongst the chaos. The body advantage once again falls away. Canadian suffers a little bit, but not quite fully locked out. However, they are being locked out of the site. The canisters start to pop. There's a jiggle around the corner. Ambi is desperately wanting an engagement where he can try and level this back up. The calls are coming together, but they're keeping themselves so stoic, so controlled, so different. Tried to escape, but Ambi gets the head of one of them. 25 seconds, waiting for the pressure on the door. It is so much growth from this team. Canadian trying to plant.
Yeah.
He doesn't know they're on the door. They're waiting for it. There's Bassetto. Flastry gets the instant response, but a post-plant situation. A little bit of daylight robbery has come together here for the side of Shopify. He can't get much further, but they will get the player up. Bassetto, a 3 versus 1. The long watch on towards the kit, and Rexon has been getting better and better as these games have gone on. There's a double rotate. I think they're going the long way to the fight. If they can try and take this kill.
He's just waiting. He just has to wait until his teammates are coming through. And he's hearing this. He's getting the spots as well. They know what is going to be happening right now. He needs to get onto the defuse very soon, though. 2 seconds to blow! He gets both! He gets all! Rexon! A huge clutch to come through! And the drone's on point. The post plant is there. And Shopify, they get themselves the buffer. They get themselves the 1 round at least.
waited and did everything right there, Razah. They made sure, but just that kit slipping under the cover of night. And then Rexon being able to pull, pre-firing the swing. There's one, there's two. And as I said before, statistically, he's been one of the few players getting better and better and better throughout the tournament. And though they lost against Fury in the 0-2, he was the only positive player. And it just shows how important, how impactful he can be. Now, they get one. They have a lifeline for the second half, but you probably get the feeling 2 will be what's required to try and keep driving this game forward.
It is. I do start to question a little bit, though, why they took the long way around, because it left for no room for error. If 2 of you are starting to rotate up, it takes 30 seconds for you to get there, meaning there's only a 2-second gap for the person back down below to try and get that defuse going. If you took a shorter route, maybe you would have been able to be there 10 seconds quicker. Person could have started defusing already. That way you can try and go for a trade that way around. Either way, round's done. It's over. And it's 4-1 to Razah Company. They are still in the lead. They're still doing whatever is necessary. Of course, they'll be looking heavily towards getting that 5th round, knowing that their attacks aren't their strong point. Shopify Rebellion trying to stop that with everything they got. That last round was already a lot better. They were focusing on clearing out that top floor, starting on focusing on removing the players in their play space. We're just losing some of the gunfight. And SDK, you mentioned that he's playing a game. Well, he's definitely playing a game going aggressive like that.
Yeah, I wanted to see if he could get an early reward, but as the castle around green is about to be destroyed, he very cleverly gets out of there. And he felt the pressure that was starting to cook, and he did not wish to be the lobster on the boil. A minute gone, some of this early work done, some of the control sort of pulled apart, but it's making sure that somebody doesn't get in behind them. They obviously have the Jackal Dockerby combination once again. They were the 2 bodies immediately, well, not immediately, but initially removed before. Here, the comparison of the last time that they were sort of going for these bits of control, it's quicker, it's more direct, and well, will there be stepped back in? Utility, pull back. Utility, pull back. They know that they don't want to accidentally double down, because as you've seen and demonstrated by SDK, more than happy to throw themselves into these engagements.
Now the thing is, they need to go all the way to the basement. The top floor has been given to them, but they took about a minute 20 or something to clear that out. That leaves them with just a little bit of time to make sure that the first floor is clear, the staircases are under control, and then you can start putting actual pressure down onto the site. But you see it right there, they're playing close on the window. SDK hasn't been thrown out. Yes, he has been able to rotate as well. Not to stick around longer than he has to. And with a minute left on the clock, the Blitz is now starting to put up the pressure on the horizontal side. He has to be careful. There's so many corners. Spots out a player there. There's the flash, but he's been good, so he cannot really commit to this fight.
Yeah, but he forces the player out of barrels. 50 seconds, though, and all 10 players still standing. So, I feel like it's about to get very chaotic and very back and forth. They have themselves fully stacked around lockers. They're trying to just edge their way in towards a similar place they got the plant down last time round. Flastry, he's going to try and retake the verticality. An important fight, one that was the deciding factor last time, but he does have support of Live. They're trying to 2 versus 1, but Canadian goes down. Basetto gets the lockdown inside. Surf finds Flastry. That's the fight above, and Rexon gets Basetto, so it's still back and forth with a bit of control. SDK biting his way back in 10 seconds. They just need to find a way to deny it, but the long fight, Live scratching the surface, gets the end of it. Surf needs to get 2 kills or a plant, but one of them is on the other side of the world. It is 5-1.
They're happy about it. They know they're 2 rounds away from progressing into the upper bracket and facing Virtus Pro in about 2 to 3 hours from now. There won't be a lot of time to prepare, to reset. But as I mentioned, some of these teams prefer this. They're hot, they're warm, they're going into that game on a bit of a spree. And Razah definitely currently looking like the favorite to take this map home. But they're going on to that weaker side now. 2 rounds is all they need. Even if they get 1, they find themselves in overtime, at least confirmed, which gives them the extra bit of lifeline, takes away the stress from those remaining rounds you still have in the half.
It is a game of 2 halves, and this is the point where you start to look towards rebuilding. Obviously, timeouts long since used. Razah, they just need to find success on one site, which is kind of good for them. Because the last time they played it, they could only find success on one site. Lab and Lab support. They're able to lock down 2 attacks. Everything else, the other 4 that they pieced together, Crossmaster and Bunks, they just couldn't make concrete. They've statistically massively improved on the previous time they've played this, and unfortunately the opposite is for Shopify, who last time had a 75% attack win across the 2 maps they played it. Slightly worse defense, but, well, data is data. And data can always be redefined and added to. Ambi is the Soulless out on an adventure. STK, who has found a lot of joy playing deep behind the enemy lines. might be about to find a fight with Ambi, who is ready, waiting, and willing for engagement.
The third map hasn't been kind to Ambi yet, though. The first 2 entry kills were him being shut down, not having an actual impact into the round. So, as a result, of course, Shopify Rebellion not doing as well as they normally would. And now on the defense, of course, he has a bit of extra play space. He can choose and pick his battles. But he's being tracked by Deimos. And, oh, look at that. There's a drone and a flashbang. And it's been shut down once more. And that gives them the cameras as well. Everything they've been putting down, if they did, is going to be theirs. And the default cam. So there's going to be a lot of information to be gained from this.
What an immediate reaction towards that position. They had him surrounded. With the track comes through, the flash and the drone. It's at least 3 players dedicating themselves to the cause of killing Ambi, and fair enough. But now, the pressure is still on the control of the site itself. This is the play against the wall, the bandage ring I talked about before. You get the bucking underneath, it makes it awkward. We didn't really see so much of that from the approach of Shopify Rebellion, but Razah, they're making sure that's a drive because it was a sticking point when they were trying to attack this map, and one of the things that went away and awry from them before. Lessons learned and proven. Minute 10 now, they can start trying to believe they can focus up the main stairs, look towards the top of the rocket as Perez has operational control and pings on a further away player, but there's still this, the connecting wall problem between them and getting in fights. Flores drone got rid of the bandits, and that wall is now partially breachable.
Still a new jammer out there, though, so that's not going to go. Someone at the end of the mezzanine finds the kill. His feet about to stick out. No, he's actually gone through the door. Grenade will at least keep him at bay. He's not going to go for a swing right afterwards. Gives him the opportunity to start moving forward just slightly here. Perez looking to take that fight. Flastry as well will eventually get that kill. That's mezzanine now cleared.
Rexon jumped out, went for the engagement, tried to lean into it. There's a spray back. Surf and Grixer find one more, and look at that, doubling down. They are down on the back. SDK is massively hurt. It's a rotate behind him, though, that doesn't quite net the kill. The burn of the flash. They're picking themselves up in new places. He's doing the right motions, but he has such a little amount of health. He knows it's all being read. Can't find the loose players. He doesn't get the pre-fire.
Dang, that was fucking crazy. Fucking nasty, bro. That was crazy. Guys, they put that number 7 for a reason, my boy. You don't understand what the fuck is happening right now.
Don't understand what's happening. It was a very chaotic round.
I mean, it was a 5 versus 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? They were on the back foot. They know this. They need to rebuild the energy. They lost Ambi without so much as a whimper. Then it's an aggressive jump out position by Rexon. You know, we saw he was being
came out right afterwards as well.
Yeah, we saw he was being blinded. That was a technical 2 versus 5 in some regards. And it's just skin of their teeth stuff to keep. Imagine if they were now on 6-1. Having to flawless every single round on the site that is statistically the strongest for anybody sort of playing this map. And I'm not going to say it looks worrying, but if you're a Shopify Rebellion fan, you hope they can build confidence from it to have a round that feels a little bit more like they're in the driver's seat.
Like, I mean, they managed to clutch that one out, but that's partially due to the fact that Razah didn't reset themselves. They had a 2v5 situation. Of course, they didn't know. They knew it was a 3v5. They might have not known that they've injured one of those players. If they would have reset themselves there, they still have plenty of time to do that. Be like, okay, what do we have? Where can we go? Because we have a massive advantage here. Let's make sure we utilize that. Instead, they kind of just kept pushing. They kept, pushing down that gas pedal while they had to take a corner and just got shut down by it. So, might be a lesson for them as well, okay? Calm down. When we have an advantage like this, we need to make sure that we're utilizing this to our best of our abilities.
Shopify Rebellion My eyes are instantly drawn as the observers towards Ambi, who has just been a little bit pushed to the side here.
He's being targeted every single time.
And I mean, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's been having a hell of a game so far.
Hell of a series. SDK finds Surf, though. That's an early take. The Warden keeping a keen eye on anything else that comes their way. And well, there's not really the lure and the idea of a sort of play behind smokes or anything like that. But at the same time, it's an early loss. It's an early gun. And this entry statistic sort of been getting worse and worse here. Both on this second half being taken by SDK.
I like that they instantly welked out of the building again. They're like, okay, we got a kill. We're just backing off. We're not going to try and push this and push our luck. There's so much time left. There was 2 minutes 20 left or something on the clock at that point. You can afford to reset yourselves. Just make sure you put your focus elsewhere. What was lacking last round, this time it might actually work out for them. They know exactly where smoke is. Flashbangs are coming through. They're also going to use an air jet or two. Grimby's not quite going in. Of course, Canadian knows exactly where they're coming from. The flashbang coming in as well. Somehow didn't quite hit that. Why did you not detonate that gas canister as he gets injured? Flash tree will be traded out, however. It's an effective 4-on-3 in favor of Razah.
Rexon doing his best to try and save his IGL, but unfortunately he might just be a bit too deep behind enemy lines as they flood into sight. They're going for the pings, the pressure. They've got to watch both ways, and Razah might have overstepped and overplayed their hand here because they had the full awareness. That was the idea. Canadian gets locked out. It pushes them into a 3 versus 2. I think Razah overestimated just how much attention, how much focus they'd been able to pull away here. They weren't quite anywhere near as secret as they thought that was. 30 seconds. And a fair bit of damage done to Rexon is finished with a swing round of 2 versus 2.
On your left.
It's on his left. Ambi. We said how important he can be, how focused and targeted he was. This is kind of why.
It's just such a small mistake. You didn't have to enter the room yet before you actually went for the live. Recovering the diffuser, trying to get himself safe. There is a bulletproof, gives that game away. He's having to go for a bit of a swing, but Ambi with a shotgun will shut him down. And again, look at that. Hey, 5v3, which is being basically turned around in favor of a Shopify Rebellion round because they go too quick again. They get that second kill and they're like, okay, let's put metal to the, or pedal to the metal and let's just go for it. And they lose out those rounds because of it. If they just keep it slow, if they keep it steady, they have the demos. You can just isolate these players one by one and just play the game that way.
Yeah, they're just getting a bit too overeager. All the problems I said on the first half that they're sort of ironed out. It seems like they've got so excited by how successful it was. They've reverted a bit back to old ways. And, you know, the holes of Shopify Rebellion are tested, but well put together. And they're losing the opening statistics. Definitely something they want to work on. Again, you don't want to be the one that's in the 3 versus 5, 2 versus 5.
Yeah.
But they have structure. They have good players, good backline players. They know where they need to be when they need to be there, and getting them through 5-1 to 5-3. And if this site goes away, I mean, the whole game opens up at this point.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Again, like the thing, like you have such a good momentum, you have such good control, and then you start to just push the site. Not having the hatch under control, which is one of the main things, of course, that you should be having if you want to push in from that door. You lost 2 players on the back of that. Again, you're kind of just throwing away the advantage you had in a bit of a Hail Mary push, even though you've been doing so well on these openings. And if they can keep this up, of course, one of those rounds is eventually going to stick. But it could have been 7-3 right now. Could have been over. It should have probably been over. It should have been Razah Company pushing on to face Virtus Pro, but instead, Shopify Rebellion able to just clutch out, use their clutch factor on their players to make sure that they're keeping themselves in the game, to make sure that they're pushing themselves back towards an equal score.
Now, if there was statistically a worse site, well, quite clearly, this is it. Only a 20% defensive win rate on this site throughout the tournament. And yeah, we've seen it a lot less than all the others. Only 5 times played. But Shopify Rebellion are one of those teams that have played this. And I believe, actually, they're one of the only teams that contributed to the positive side of it. Yeah. The one time they had it on their defense, they won it out. So, can they try and by a little bit more grace for this. An easy break over the verticality. It's very quick to the punch on this. It's hard to rebuff and hold these positions. As you see, Flastry is already knocking on the door of the site. They've been able to get rid of this hard wall. They're kind of a bit distant, Shopify Rebellion, and maybe playing for the retake, the verticality, the pressure they can put, as well as the crossfires from A to B.
Yeah, they did bring out the Ossa, though, so you can basically imagine that a Ossa shield plant is what they will be looking for. Canadian on the Echo is going to be the first one to kind of feel out that information, get the information that that is going to be the plan, serve in a crucial spot. Of course, having the angle from the side. If they move in, he's the first line of defense they have to go through. So, what is the next plan here, Razah Company? You need to start putting pressure onto Surf. As long as he's allowed to play where he's currently playing, you are not getting a plant down.
They know the first step needs to be one that's gifted and guided, and they haven't been able to have an engagement as cleanly as they have before. SDK on the far side of green, hoping to catch a player that rotates their way back around, and here goes the throws, the covers, the smokes, grenades even. The pressure that might come on the back. There's the smokes, and there's stepping himself in as close as he can and deploying the shield to the side. Now the Echo drone should be able to get it if we don't have to run in the blind. Canadian is gone. Rexon is removed. SDK is down. But all the faith in an Echo that could not stop what was occurring. Surf throws more canisters. They're going for this vertical retake. They cover the distance. There's one. There's the pre-fire onto the second. Confirms the kill. And, I mean, it's a very rough fight. It's pistols at dawn, but one of them brought a shotgun. And they have the verticality, but that is all Grixer has. I mean, the snap decision. They covered all of their bases. They had Canadian dead to rights. And he just did not know it.
SDK biding his time, is waiting patiently for the actual push to come in, and as soon as the smoke canister went in, as soon as the Ossa shield has been deployed, he just pushed aside, got the Yokai, got the Echo, the most important operator to probably get in that moment in time, because that was the only one that could directly stop that plant from happening. And they just managed to ride on the back of that. 6-3. Razah Company, you've been so close on these two sides of taking it as well. A 5v2 on this top floor, and a 5v3 loss when you were down below. You just gotta repeat it, but basically be a little bit more secure, a little bit more calm about it at the end stage of this round. MB's starting to find his game, though. We talked about him before, how he's been shut down. I mean, 3 times he's been the opening kill because they've isolated him and shut him down. But he finds himself an 8. Back on the positive. But he needs to do more now. He needs to do more to get Shopify Rebellion back on the saddle. If they want to have an opportunity of winning this one. They said it themselves. They are the best Lair team in the entire competition. Now, of course, how much of that is hype? How much of that is the statistical truth? Because right now, it looks like a Razah Company definitely has the number on this map.
Remember, obviously, how close things were when we were here. Remember how much control Shopify Rebellion had on the previous map. Razah, they're remembering how good it feels to maybe play on a stage. Or at least dreaming of it at SI. As I think this is the team, as we said it before, where every single player, it is their first ever SI that they're competing at, outside of the coach behind them. And they are hungry for that stage. Shopify Rebellion, a team with, well, the most experienced SI player. Currently here outside of, well, now Fabian's gone. 2-time hammer lifter Canadian. They got to start trying to fight for their chance to keep themselves out of the lower bracket and go against VP later on today. Perez as the narrow shot, the Flores drone of Flastry finds its way around to get rid some of the utility that's on the wall itself. Danger here for Live, and you can see him shaking his head. They know that they can't enter, they can't put pressure onto these bandit charges. They're just watching too much, and it's a bit of a stick-up, a hold-up here. Rexon, he's being very aggressive, but you know, remember how he complimented how quick this was before the blinds come out. The smoke canister goes down. Rexon can still protect it, and they're doing a great job here. There's one. There's almost a bit of damage done. They're trying to find the follow-through in the second. He's hunting with a shotgun, but the Tiburao buys them a second on the wall itself. Is it enough of a delay? Rexony still trying to find the engagement.
Two of them currently occupied, though. It's keeping this wall shut. Live has the opportunity to shoot out the turbo canister, decided to not do it. However, you know that wall's going to be opening up soon anyways, just choosing to bide his time. Maybe he will find himself with a lucky opportunity to go for a bit of a vertical shot. 45 seconds, counting down. Time is slowly creeping away from the side of Razah Company and in favor of Shopify Rebellion. And as Flastry's playing on the window, someone quite close, Grixer, looking to find a frag as well. Surf being flashed, this might be the execute they're looking for.
Live takes a lot of damage though, and there's a shotgun that doesn't connect. Live slips his way on past here, and now with Basetto getting one, another 5 versus 3. Here it's sprayed through a 4 versus 2. All down to Grixer and Ambi to keep Shopify Rebellion fighting, but they cannot find it! What a moment, what a run! Razah Company! They screamed their way through phase 1, almost took first seed, but now they have the opportunity to prove that they can beat anyone, regardless of what seed it is, as later on today, they secure a fight against Virtus Pro. For now, though, Shopify Rebellion, it's not done, but it is far from the manner they expected or wanted it to go today.
They managed to proceed in the upper bracket. They have played a hell of a game. SDK, especially in that last map, really pulling his weight. And I mean, they could have closed it, maybe with a 7-1 or a 7-2, but they closed it. No matter what, that's what matters, not how many rounds you get.
Well, let's go to a quick break and pick apart the pieces.